There we go. That should be all right. Okay, let me test. That should be good. That should be all right. So, how's everybody doing? Right? I am streaming from a new computer, so hopefully everything turns out to be fine. I am a little worried because I'm streaming through Wi-Fi. Normally, I stream through Ethernet, an Ethernet cable, right? But as of right now, I have to stream on Wi-Fi, so I'm a little worried about that. Uh, the stream quality might be a little bit laggier. I'm working on that. I have to buy like a new adapter. You know how it is. But it should be good. It should be good now. So yeah, we finally did a stream. It's been like a week since the last one. How's everyone doing? No sound. Thomas, how are you doing, my man? Everything good back in British lands? Because I'm pretty good, wearing a pink shirt. That's what's up. Uh, and yeah, just very excited about this. Again, new setup, new computer, so I can do stuff like this, right? I can go back. It's pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited about it. But yeah, I don't really miss my old computer. All's good. How's everything in your end? Everything is really good, actually. The weather is awesome as always in Mexico. Um, Work's doing all right. And again, I love just the new computer. It's fucking awesome, dude. Like, not gonna lie. It's much better than the other one, but again, I have to get the Ethernet adapter to connect my wired connection because if I do streams on Wi-Fi, it might be a little laggy. So I'm a little scared about that. Okay, six viewers. Jahira, hello. Hi, I'm good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you guys are always good. Uh, there's been a lot of stuff going on. There was a missile on Poland that I think was Russian, but I've been hearing a lot that it could have also been Ukrainian, but yeah, probably Russian, right? So the world almost ends there, but thankfully nothing happened. As far as I'm aware, it wasn't like targeted like like an attack, like it wasn't that bad, as far as I know. Um, but yeah, other than that, are there any global news? How's the camera doing for you guys? Is the camera good? I also upgraded the camera. This should be a lot better, right? The lights seem to be nice, but hopefully on your end, everything is fine. I have now a full camera setup, so again, it should be much, much better. And yeah, I don't know if you guys are listening to my dogs. Let's hear it. Yeah, maybe you can hear it. It's just odd, man. Chihuahuas owner life. Apparently, it was a Ukraine anti-missile that went wrong and landed in Ukraine. It was fired during a Russian attack. Thank God, man. I mean, thank God it stopped at that. Thank God it wasn't like a Russian missile or something like that, or because shit could have gone south, as they say in the USA. It could have gone very, very wrong, like very wrong. So thankfully, it wasn't anything, quote unquote, but it was relevant. And when I first heard the news, I was like, oh boy, shit, it's gotta get down. Poland is a NATO member. But yeah, thankfully, nothing happened. I don't think, yeah, Russia was like that stupid. So I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's nothing here. Anyways, well, since you guys are the first ones, what do you guys want to watch first? Um, I was thinking we can watch Hoser first, since my man Hoser is pretty good at doing his stuff, and he uploaded a video about Italian new fascism. Well, the chaotic future of Italy, and we can see Italy split into two, North and Southern Italy. and new fascism. That is interesting. Poland rushes troops to its border. Sources from America said it was a Ukrainian missile that hit Poland by mistake. Thank God. Thank God it was by mistake. Thank God it was like Ukrainian and not Russian. Uh, Things could have gone very bad, but I don't know. Maybe, the sources are lying for the good of mankind. What do you think would have happened if it was like an actual Russian attack? I think probably nothing would happen from like our end, with the Western end. Probably, like, I don't know. I don't think. I think the European Union and well, NATO in general really want to be very cautious about the war and about support in Ukraine and just guns and weapons in general. I think they want to be very cautious about it. So I think they really want to avoid a war, which I mean they should. But I don't know. I feel like they're being overly cautious, which I don't know about what you guys think, but I think it's good, as long as we don't end in a nuclear holocaust. I think everything should be all right. So yeah, let's start with the Hosar video. This is the one. I think if Russia really wanted, they would try to hit NATO military areas instead of Farmstead. What's up, Ored, my man? How are you doing, brother? Yeah, that's true. That's true, though. And again, I don't think they would really do it. I don't think Russia would do it. Like, why? They would lose. I mean, that's mutual destruction, and I don't think they would do it. I don't think Vladimir Putin is that guy. That's just like really crazy. I don't think he's that crazy, at least as of now. I don't think Vladimir Putin is really crazy. But hey, who knows? You never know, really. So, the chaotic future of Italy. The chaotic future of Italy. This is a video by Hoser again. New layout. Yes, sir. New layout. Absolutely. New computer and new camera. So things should look a lot better. However, the stream might be a little slow because I still have to buy like an Ethernet adapter. So I'm streaming on Wi-Fi, which is a little dangerous. Hopefully the stream is able to go on, but anything can happen, really. So if the stream for whatever reasons lags, you know why that is. But yeah, new layout. It should look pretty dope. At least the camera. It's crazy how everyone was declaring World War III in social media when barely any details came out. Seems good. Yeah, I know, totally. I think people were really worrying too much. Uh, it threw me off, but I was like, hey, if World War III was really starting, I think we would know it. It's just a missile. This has happened before, right? Like the North Korean missiles in like the ocean of Japan. Like this has happened before. Let's calm down and let's hear for more details. But yeah, people were freaking out. Like Twitter and Instagram, they were like totally freaking out. So thankfully, World War III did not start yet, and we are still here, ladies and gentlemen. So the chaotic future of Italy. Italy is like a very interesting nation because we haven't heard much from the Italian part. Like I don't know. I haven't heard much from Italy lately, which is weird. Italy is like one of the top economies. It's one of the most populated countries in Europe when it comes to history and culture. I mean, Italy is like definitely one of the top five countries that have the most culture and art and cuisine. So I don't know. Do we have any Italians in chat? Probably not. People actually wanted to get drafted. Besides, Russia would have mobilized near other borders if they really were preparing for war. Yeah, true. That's true, man. People were just being paranoid, and it ended up backfiring. Anyway, so yeah, I love Italy. I've been to Sicily many times. That's awesome, brother. I have family living in Italy, and they say it's pretty chill. Especially like in the Milan area. It's expensive, but it's pretty good. So the chaotic future. I don't know. Okay, what can we expect from this video? Can we expect like an aging population? I think we can expect an economic slowdown. I don't know. What's Italy and what's their economic stronghold? Because for example, Germany has cars. They have a great manufacturing industry. Italy, like I don't know, agricultural products, clothing. They do have a lot of like luxury brands and clothing. But I think I don't know, a new Roman Empire. Oh God, those Mussolini flashbacks. Anyways, let's see what my brother has to say about this. Oh, can you guys like? They have Ferrari, Lamborghini, and stuff. Yeah, that's true though. Uh, Italy's starting to become very hard on migrants in the Mediterranean. Yeah, the current Italian government is like pretty hardcore, like right wing, isn't it? Um, we can't see the video. Yeah, that's what I'm also seeing. Huh? Let me let me check. Why not? I don't know why you guys can't see the video. Hold up. Ah, fuck. We already have problems, bro. Display capture. Yeah. The Italian cuisine is like probably like what one of the best in the world. So I don't know, man. There we go. I think now you guys should be able to see the video, right?
Just
I think so. It looks like it. Yeah, I think you guys can see the video. So there we go.
elected a new government a little bit reminiscent of their past. So will
Jesus
chaos keep
Christ.
fueling their nation's politics and economy? And why did Italy just choose to have its most right-wing government since Mussolini? What even is Italy? It sits right here at the bottom of Europe, kicking
That's
Sicily into the
that's not a good look, when you get compared to the previous fascist government, it's not good, In fact, that's pretty fucking horrible, dude. But Italian cities I'd like to visit are Rome, Milan, and Venice. Venice is nice. I've never been to Europe, but I've heard Venice is pretty chill. I think we saw a video about Venice and how they are like actually sinking and they need to solve that real quick. But other than that, I think Venice is like pretty chill.
Mediterranean Sea. The Italian peninsula is bounded by
Yeah,
the massive Massif
the
Alps to the
Alps,
north, and then this sea to the everywhere else. Well, I guess you
Mediterranean.
can split it up into the Adriatic Sea to the east and the Tyrrhenian Sea to the
Well,
west, which has acted as a great defense
talking
system
about
and
specifics,
amazing ports for the trade-loving Italians
I'd
to
like to
go out
visit
and
Italy
venture
again. I
from.
haven't been there
But the
since I was a
boot doesn't
kid.
look like this. It's
Damn.
more one of those spiky boots, the ones either crazy supermodels or edgy e-girls wear. Yeah, that's Italy, with the Apennine mountain range splitting the country down the center. This leaves
Now,
Italy
just to
as a
say that you guys in Europe are like absolutely lucky that you live in a continent that pretty much allows you free travel to each other. Maybe not to all of them, like only the ones in the Schengen area. But that's so cool, though. The fact that you can like drive a few hours and you're in another country. Here in the Americas, we can't experience that, unfortunately. That's
country
not a
with
thing.
tiny pockets of different groups, and for most of Italian
Yeah.
history, this is what the peninsula looked like. By far the best pocket to grow in
Italy
is in
is
the
a
north.
new country, isn't it? Um, you still need money to travel. That's true though, but less money. Like, come on, bro. Like flights inside Europe are pretty cheap. Like I've seen the TikToks about traveling through Europe, and it only costs like I don't know, an airplane could cost like 80 euros or something like that. So I think it's like great. It's amazing how Italy became home to the empire the last nearly 500 years in the west and nearly 1,000 in the east. That is absolutely true. However, despite like that quote unquote unification or that empire, the Roman Empire, uh, Italy has been always very divided. Sort of reminds me of Germany and the German situation with all the different states like Wittenberg, Bavaria, Prussia, and all of them. It's been almost the same with Italy, like the papal states, that's pretty much now Rome and the Vatican, and Venice. Venice was like its own thing. Which one? The Kingdom of Two Sicilies, also a thing. Sicily was also pretty important in the past. So yeah, Italy has always been very, very divided. Again, sort of reminds me of Germany and the German situation. Yeah, but the hotels are expensive. That is true, though. I'll give you that. The hotels are actually. I imagine European hotels being quite
North
expensive.
Po Valley, with the Po River giving access to the defensible Adriatic. It's
Yeah,
where industry and trade and finance sprung up
yeah.
in
The north of
Italy.
Italy,
You
very
know, you
rich.
have Milan and Florence and Venice up here. But in the south, it's drier, more laid back, a bit more poor, more run down, more pizza loving, and more corrupted by the mafia.
Jesus.
It doesn't help that the north has the only longish rivers and huge,
All right, let's see that again.
a bit more poor, more run down.
Run down. Is this Italy? There's no way this is Italy, bro. This looks like a bad Mexican neighborhood. Come on, this can't be Italy. Like, this looks fucking horrible. This looks ghetto as shit. Medieval era Italy is a headache, lol. Yeah, I imagine so. Jesus.
More pizza loving, and more corrupted by the
Yeah.
mafia. It doesn't help that the north has the only longish rivers and huge
Yeah,
plains in the
damn.
country, so the south had a much harder time industrializing.
So, you guys, the ones that have traveled to Italy, is it really like that poor? Is it like really like that? I don't know. I've heard that southern Italy is, of course, poorer, but like that poor? That's the European Union, though. Like,
Causing the rift between wine olive oil Italy and beer butter Italy. So Italy goes through phases.
Northern Italy, after Rome, was ruled by the Ostrogoths, then Lombards, and finally the Franks. Southern Italy was ruled by Greeks, more Greeks, the Byzantines, and the Normans.
When it's feeling a little sad, its geography acts as its
I mean,
own
that's
world
where
with
the
a bunch
separation
of different
begins.
competing cities and regions fighting with each other. But when it's happy, or I guess more angry, one region usually takes the wheel and Italy gets a little bit militaristic is probably the best word.
Militaristic,
You know,
yeah.
Rome, Mussolini,
Little
that sort of thing.
fascista,
Let me tell you, this regionalism or campanilissimo, loyalty to one's town over the country, does not make politics in
Is that
Italy
so?
simple or boring. Since the founding of the Italian Republic, the average government has only held office for
Yeah,
13
damn.
months, with none making it over 5 years long. If this
What the
pace keeps
fuck?
up, the average Italian should see about 75 different governments in their lifetime. Parties are always changing, new coalitions die and are born again, and tangentopoly used to be fairly rampant, which is just the Italian fancy schmancy way of saying corruption and debt in the government. You know, with this geography, the different regions of Italy fought with corruption too, with no
I didn't knew there was such a strong connection with the Italian regions and the people. Again, sort of like the USA in some states like Texas, but or even like in Germany, like Bavaria, for example. But what? Do people like, oh, I'm from Venice? I don't know. It's kind of odd. Jesus, the Mediterranean has so many city-states for some reason. From Italy to Greece, probably the rocky terrain. Probably so.
side being
Italy
powerful
is
enough
quite
to take over the
mountainous.
nation, so they switched governments
Like
and
in the
switched
north and
sides
the
faster
middle.
than a reunited Yugoslavia would collapse again. Italy is more a history of independent nations.
Yeah, there
so
you go.
unified Italy is
1815 Italy. So we got Venezia, which is Venice, I think. Lombardy with Milan. The Piedmont with Turin. Parma, Modena. I don't know. Tuscany, we've all had probably Tuscan wines. The Papal States, where Rome is located. And also San Marino. San Marino was part of the Papal States. That's interesting, though. And the Kingdom of Two Sicilies, with the actual Sicily being the island. There's a lot of Italians in the UK. In face, a course I'm doing at uni shows that in 1920 and 1930s, there were 30,000 Italians living in the UK. Most were deported to Canada at the start of World War III. No, San Marino was independent. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, well, too bad.
A young nation,
That doesn't
younger
sound
than
as
even
cool, right?
Canada is, still pretty much an experiment to see these many
Younger than
regions
Canada,
stuck
yeah?
together. It's just like my guy Massimo
Younger than
Deslegio said, we have made
Mexico.
Italy, but now we have to make
Italians.
Italians.
That's
So,
that
the
makes
North,
sense.
industrial, mountainous, trading, finance heavy, where this culture came from. The South, it's beautiful, seaside, but corrupt
I'm
and
very
poor, where
relaxed,
this
yeah.
culture came from. Why not actually see these regions for yourself through Wondrium? With Wondrium, you can watch high
Okay,
quality
so
videos
let's
ranging from
the
traveling
sponsor, let's
Italy
watch
to
it.
learning about art to learning how money works, something the Italians might need to watch as well as we'll see.
Oh,
Like the politics of the
oh
peninsula,
God.
they're always adding something new, so there will always be something fresh to watch. I've been watching Traveling the Roman Empire, and it really gives you a sense of how much the Italians conquered when they were a unified entity and just how
Smooth
much geography
sponsor.
influenced the
True
empire.
that.
You
It's
won't
pretty
regret
smooth.
signing up to OneDream if you love to learn. I know how much some of you love free stuff, so if you click the link in the description, you'll get a free
Okay.
trial of OneDream. Visit
Free stuff.
onedream.com
I like
slash
that.
hoser after watching this video and hearing about how the Italians work with their money. And thank you to OneDream.
Corsica not being part of Italy but part of France looks really weird. Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. I think we had a very heated debate last stream about Corsica being part of France or Italy. It was
For
fun.
sponsoring today's video. If you live outside Europe, you might think of the Italian
America.
economy as a thriving G7 nation full of
Yeah.
Lamborghini, Gucci, Versace, and Ferrari. If you live inside Europe, you might think
Versace.
of it as an absolute deadweight on the European system. Both are kind of true.
Is it
Their
really?
economy is, surprise, divided between the North
And the
South.
South,
Some
yeah.
quick stats for you. The North earns 15% more than the South. 70% of all unemployed Italians live in the South.
Wow.
In fact, less than half of the Southerners are actually employed. Italian debt is over 150% of the GDP, and the mafia makes up probably about 10% of all Italian GDP, mostly in yup, the
Whoa.
South. This isn't dissing
Holy fuck. 10% of Italy's GDP? That's insane, brother. There's a lot of Italians in Latin America. Yeah, mostly in Brazil and Argentina, though, and Uruguay, maybe. Maybe a little bit in Chile. In Mexico, there's not really a lot of Italians. Yeah, no. Yeah, Southern Europe is known for being pretty poor. Jesus, but like that poor? It's pretty bad then. He said like half of Southerners are unemployed. And the mafia makes like 10% of the Italian GDP. That's a lot though. That's a lot of billions.
Italy. The nation has a pretty huge economy, especially
But the
in
north, it's like
manufacturing.
pretty
The
developed,
thing
right?
is, it's not the usual massive industrial plant shipping across the world type
Yeah,
manufacturing
that's the
you're
thing.
used to. Since Italy is a disconnected, long, bumpy, and regionalist country, there is no one Italian supply chain. There are many different, very small supply chains found in smaller areas of the nation,
But why
with
is it
small to medium-sized firms making up over half of all economic profit in Italy, making more handcrafted goods. What some might call useless, some others might call it luxury. So in
Lambo?
terms of industry and agriculture, Italy's handcrafted supply chains make it pretty safe from the rest of the world's chaos, as long as they can keep a steady supply of their needed materials,
Pasta,
which made them one of
art?
the first nations to support European economic integration. It's
Come on,
just better
guys,
for
let's
their
share a
small
coal and
Italian
steel.
firms. But it's not all spaghetti and guanciale, my amico. Remember that part about
Yeah, okay. So I don't understand why Italians have so many like supply chains. They could only have like one. Italy is very close to like the Mediterranean. Italy is the heart of the Mediterranean. They have access to the Suez Canal. They have access to the Bosporus Strait. They have access to Gibraltar and the Strait of Gibraltar and that part. So why are they not more connected? I really don't understand that part. You know, during World War II, the Italian mafia helped the Allied forces when they invaded Italy. Wow. Talk about interesting facts, huh? The mafia helping, that's so insane, dude. You can only imagine the mafia fighting, like a mafia boss just fighting the axes, that's funny though. That's actually kind of funny.
You might think of it as an
Absolute dead weight on the European system.
Oh, there we go.
yes, that is still true too. I
Jesus.
don't know, man. There must be something in the water of the Mediterranean that makes the governments around it hate paying off their
Siesta
debt.
instead. Holy
If I
fuck. But that's true though. Spain, Italy, Greece. What's going on in the Mediterranean, brother? That's actually pretty fucked up if you think about it. Portugal, I think. Well, Portugal is not in the Mediterranean. Ireland also had a little bit of a debt problem, and Ireland is not in the Mediterranean, but
lived here, I wouldn't
we're
care
just
about paying my debt off either.
picking at this
Whether it be
point.
from a lax attitude about taxes or repayment, flat out corruption, a huge underground economy, high government programs, especially trying to bail out the South, or from the EU giving free money to the nation to finance it, the Italians are not too great at handling their debt, having the highest in Europe behind Greece. Yikes. When the
Yikes.
2008
That's
crisis
not a
hit,
second
Italy
place you
fell down
want.
and still hasn't really recovered from it. If a European credit bubble were to blow up, it would mean chaos in Italy, although three sectors will likely stay thriving: agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism. No
Yeah.
foreigner really cares about a financial crisis as long as they can still take
Times are
selfies at the
coming in France.
Colosseum. Youth unemployment is over 30%. Italian banks are notorious for giving out what you call bad loans. GDP growth is lackluster, if not negative, and political instability, aka changing governments and fiscal policy pretty much every single year, certainly doesn't help anyone out either. That
Yeah.
all spells
Jesus.
disaster, and then there's the
The
people.
aging people, yeah. That's the
Oh,
thing.
to be young in Italy, studying and hanging in areas like this.
I'm gonna be honest. I would love to be young in Italy, where like live in Italy. It seems like a beautiful, beautiful place, and the food is great, and the people are kind of attractive though. But probably not a great place to live, especially considering like the rest of Europe. And I think the European Union, just as a caveat, needs like its own like tax policy. For example, I think that's called a fiscal policy or the monetary policy because you guys have the euro. That's the monetary policy. That it's together. But not every country collects the same taxes. Some do more, some do less, and there's other fiscal policies that are not the same. So the European Union, if they want to exist, the euro, uh, need to collect the same amount of taxes percentage wise.
Exploring the countryside and millennia-year-old
Oh God,
histories, living with your parents because you
Jesus.
can't find any work, and deep down
Italian
knowing there's a
women,
looming crash coming to your
nice.
country. Italy is a dying nation.
I'm more of a Swedish women kind of guy, but hey, Italian women can't complain.
Now, I don't mean that in the racist immigrants are coming in and replacing us sort of way. I mean that in the numbers and data sort of way. Italy is the oldest country in Europe with a median age
Wow.
over 47 years old. Look
Wow.
at this pyramid. That's a
Oh,
scary lump.
dude. Wow. This is the definition of an inverted pyramid. Look at that, man. That's huge. Most people are between the ages of 40 and 60. Jesus. What the fuck? Look at the amount of babies. It's very small. The amount of young people, it's also very small. Wow. That's
Are in the
that's
50 to
quite the
60 year
population
old range,
pyramid.
just waiting to retire, relax, and drink Bellinis on the Adriatic.
That's gonna be
But if you're
bad.
down here,
That's
it
gonna
means
be really
complete
bad.
crisis. There are just no young workers to replace the experienced older generation.
Yeah, look at that poor woman.
Especially when you're a nation focused on luxury, often needing to study the craft for decades in order to
I
meet
know
the
Italy
demands
has a
of
long
guys
life
like
expectancy
this.
too, yeah.
By
On
next
top
decade,
of that,
there will
right?
be a mass retirement in Italy that won't
Yeah.
just crash the luxury market, but the pension overhang will be insane with over twice
That's
as
why
many
there's so many
retirees to
Italian
workers.
grandmas.
It means recession at a minimum, financially ruining a country already pretty financially sketchy. This happened because of Italy's tight, crowded cities.
I mean, how do you solve that? You could sort of solve it with immigrants, but that could create new problems. And like that's why people elect fascist governments, right? And I've heard the Italians are kind of racist. I don't know if you guys can like support that or not, but I've heard that Italians are kind of, a little bit racist. I don't know. Give benefits to having more kids. Yeah, maybe though. But think about this: like Italy is already in a financial struggle, right? They already have huge debts. So having benefits to have more babies like could be a double-edged sword, you know. It could hurt more the economy and it might not work. You know, I think there's countries like Hungary or Poland that have like some incentives, and I think those incentives haven't worked the way they were expecting. You know, they had like a little boost only. So I don't know, man. It could be a double-edged sword for sure. They've been selling houses in the countryside for like €1, except it still costs thousands to renovate. Yeah. Plus, that's also true, right? Isn't there like a lot of old houses in like
Perfect for making a
rural
baby boom
Italy or
after a
rural
world
France
war, if you
even?
know what I mean, but not perfect for the baby boomers to keep making babies, especially after focusing on their post war economic miracle instead of families.
Chase a
So,
check,
in
never chase a
response, many
bitch.
young workers say screw it and leave the country, or leave from the
To
south to the
America,
north.
to
Not the
Brazil.
most uncommon
Yeah.
thing in its history. Italians love leaving their country. Why do you think there are so many Americans role playing Italians on TikTok these
Yeah.
days? This,
Oh
along with the
man,
older
the years of Jersey Shore. I don't know if you guys, any of you have watched Jersey Shore. It's like an American reality TV show, and it's basically a bunch of Italian Americans doing stuff. It's really it's trashy TV, but it's not that bad. I wish. Yeah, I googled cheapest housing price in Europe, and number one was Italy. Well, you would normally think cheap housing is good, but
generation going off
probably
means
not to be
that
number
Italy will
one.
almost definitely half in population by the end of the century. That's very scary for
Wow.
them. A dying nation could mean deindustrializing, returning to the farms, the debt blowing up, or racism. What?
Yeah.
Because you know who are coming in? Refugees.
Oh
The
yeah.
migrant crisis from 2015 has given Italy over 1 million low skilled refugees in the country, many turning to very low skilled jobs or less legal jobs to make a living
Or
because
mafia. Yeah.
manufacturing is too high end in Italy for them to go and work at the Vespa factory. As an already crowded and urbanized nation whose citizens are already competing with the other cities economically, a new addition of 1 million outsiders isn't going
Huh.
to go over very well. It has kind of been a unifying force for the nation against immigrants and against the outside world in general. A perfect condition for Giorgia Meloni
Yikes.
to swoop in charge of Italy in a populist movement, which might be a potential
Jesus.
future of Italy. But first, we just have to see
I mean, she's
one
kind of
more
cute. I
thing.
don't know.
Remember when I said Italy will be safe from the world's chaos if they can keep a steady inflow of materials? Well, can they? The main things they need are minerals, energy, and a bit of food, which they're a net importer of.
Ah, wow. First of all, it's crazy that Italy is a net importer of food. Like Italy, a place that produces some of the best food in the world, actually has to import some of their food. Like that's an insane thought. Minerals, yeah, and energy. They don't have a. Do they even have like some oil? No, they have like nothing. Uh, But think about the immigrant situation and how you can technically solve the problem you're having with the aging population with immigrants. But people are going to be very racist. And again, they are low skilled workers, so they can't do a lot of stuff. And usually they like are unemployed. My mom went to Europe and saw like a bunch of immigrants selling stuff. It's it makes sense since much of Italy is mountainous. Can't grow much food in the mountains. Yeah, it does make sense, but it's probably a little bit subversive. Like you don't really imagine a place like Italy importing
All
food,
three,
but it does make
although they
sense.
could likely grow enough food if tweaked a little bit.
Yeah,
Look at this
there we go.
beautiful field. If they can grow enough wine for these guys to be comfortable,
Ha.
they can grow
Yes.
enough bread
Yes,
too.
sir.
Well, I say Italy, but I basically just mean North Italy.
Yeah.
North Italy needs all of these things. The thing is, Italian history since the Middle Ages has basically been the North
Maybe you can
city-states
pivot to
venturing
do
into
more
the
solar and
Mediterranean to
geothermal
get
instead of
whatever they
oil.
needed at that
Might as well
time.
use those
They're
volcanoes
used to
and
it by now,
sunlight.
and with a fairly
That's a good
capable
argument. That's a
navy and
good point.
easy juking potential in these seas, Italy will likely stay as a regional power. They can access energy from North Africa and the East fairly easily.
Yeah.
They can get minerals from the middleman Turkey and Europe without a problem. And food, maybe they'll have to grow a bit more of it. That or buddy up with France. They can
Buddy
do
up.
all of this with no Barbary pirates trying to gun them down too. Their navy is a big body. I mean, if they did fail to secure these inputs, it wouldn't just mean crisis in Italy, it would mean collapse. So that navy better be good. They've got to get their stuff, though. They need to
Is it?
manufacture, and over a fifth of the nation is at risk of food poverty. Or at least they got to do it until their demographic.
Wow. A fifth of Italians, a fifth of the Italian nation is in food poverty or at risk of food poverty. That's a surprisingly high
Bubble
amount.
bursts. But who knows? With regionalism and populism popular nowadays, Italy might not act as one might say rationally. We could see many different foreign
Yeah,
policies or
it's
one
insane.
strong foreign policy take charge. And let's be honest, that strong foreign policy wouldn't be too open to trading or brown people. Which leads us to the future.
Or
I
trading
don't
with
think
brown
Italy is
people.
going to shatter apart like they've done in the past.
Yeah,
The North needs
they
the
didn't
South
even
to use
qualify
as a
to the
launching
World
pad to
Cup.
secure the inputs and as a port to ship their goods off. It needs the South to survive, and the South needs the North to give it free stuff for it to survive. They need each other. So in looking at either the multiple foreign policy route or the strong foreign policy route, I think it's much more likely that the strong foreign policy wins. It's a scary thought, but as the young Italians look at a dying country which can't even help its population out from its political instability and regionalism, and when, not if, the economy implodes on itself, they could look at this graph and see how long the black part stayed in charge and want some of that stability. To the North, who doesn't need the South as really anything but a middleman wanting to keep them in line as such, and to the South, whose regions have been ruined by being left behind from the global industrial North,
Yeah.
it makes both sides agree on one thing: fascism and or protectionism, although let's be honest, for two pretty different reasons. Italy is a young nation trying to find what rules best for its disconnected system, but it's also a dying nation scrambling to keep its place in the world. Italy is likely going to have a little flirting beyond the right wing for a decade or two as it goes through these collapses. But hey, if you really hate this regime, wait about a year and see if it still even exists. Italy isn't
13
exactly known
months.
for their
Yeah.
long-lasting governments.
Well, holy shit. It's not a good time to be an Italian, mamma mia. That was quite the thing, huh? Again, just a bad time to be an Italian, to be living in Italy. The thing about the government was actually probably the thing that surprised me the most. Like how much government does Italy have? I mean, one every 13 months statistically. That's so bad. That's like so bad. Doesn't sound good for Italy. Yeah. And Italy is a big guy in Europe. You know, they have a lot of people and a big economy. So if it doesn't go well for Italy, that's going to have an effect on the rest of Europe and the Eurozone or the Euro area. So I don't know, man. Kind of worried about that, about Italy. Let's see. Mm. Let's watch geography now. Geography now. They uploaded an episode of Turkey. And I want to see it, because Turkey is a big country. We've done a few videos on Turkey. So there's one about Turkmenistan, but I don't know about you guys. I don't think there's a lot of people watching from Turkmenistan. Yeah, finally Turkey. Or Turkey. Nah, fuck that. I like to call it Turkey. Like I said, it sort of reminds me about turkeys, which I like. Let's see. When you Google Turkey, what comes to mind? Yeah, Turkey, the country, of course. Oh, wait, when you Google image, Turkey's, yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens when you Google Turkey. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know, man. Should we call it Turkey? What do you guys think? Do you guys like the old name or the new name? LOL, I know, right? That was fun.
Hey, Jack.
But yeah, do you guys like the new name? You guys don't care? I personally like the old name. I like Turkey. It seems like low birth rate almost always happens when countries industrialize and urbanize too fast. So maybe some deurbanization might help those rates in Italy. True, I believe that it would really help. The thing is, again, like who would want to move to the rural areas again? Maybe some people, but it would need to be like a subsidized government thing because naturally there's not a lot of good paying jobs in the rural areas, right? So I only know it as Turkey. Yeah. Yeah, same. I only know it as Turkey. Turkey is the one and only name of their country. So you know what? Let's go, man.
Peeps, Barb's here. Get your Geography Now merch at geographynow.com. So for this episode, you're going to notice that there's going to be some continuity errors. For example, I'm clean shaven here. In the episode, I'm not. That's because for this episode, I had to film out of sequence over the course of 2 weeks in 5 different countries. However, long story short, these days, I'm trying to kind of travel to the last countries of our alphabet. And you know, I found a really good cheap flight ticket to Turkey. So long story short, it kind of ended up going like this. Hey, Mom.
What?
Want to go to Turkey?
Turkey!
What?
Nice food. Nice ancient ruins. I think that's Hagia Sophia. Istanbul.
Yeah, I went to Turkey for this episode.
It's time to learn geography.
I didn't knew he was doing that. I think that's cool, but isn't like hard to like travel with the cameras and all sorts. I mean, I can't travel with like my equipment. I don't know, man, but hey, good for him.
Alright, just like we did with the Toko episode, here's another video shot on location. Here we are in Turkey. I'm going to feature a lot of you guys, the Turkish geography peeps, in this video as well.
Good.
And who better to
like
feature
that.
than my go-to Turk, Mr. Ege, aka Eggy Boy.
Hell yeah, man.
So I actually met Ege a few years ago when I did the heritage trip. We had an 18-hour layover in Istanbul.
I was 14.
Yeah, you were like 14. I don't usually meet up with kids unless they have, you know, an adult supervisor.
I did.
You had your aunt. I don't want to be the creepy guy that meets up with kids. You're like a chubby little kid, and now you're like a emo punk rock star. Look at you, man. You grew up.
Skinny.
thank you.
Yeah.
I promised him 5 years ago he could be in the Turkey episode.
You kept your promise.
Kept my promise.
You're the best, man.
5 years later.
That was bad.
That was the worst high five ever. Well, Ege drove me around parts of Turkey and helped with this video, so he's going to co-host. Also, you are officially the youngest person ever to co-host a Geography Now episode.
Yeah, man. I'm just 19.
Yeah, there
I think-
you go. Well, Ege boy,
Like, come on, bro. Like, you should have taken me to the Mexico episode. Come on, man.
you ready to pop this turkey into the oven?
Oh yeah, you're getting full meal with this episode.
Full meal.
I like
The
the
domain
turkey
that Turkey
jokes.
sits on today is riddled
Appreciate
with
that.
thousands of years of transition, and the map has changed a lot.
Our land has always been the junction point between so many cultures, eras, and empires throughout history.
It
Yeah.
would take way too long to explain.
Yeah,
but
true. No, like the Anatolian Peninsula has always been like a very important regions for like major empires.
Basically,
It goes all the way back to somewhere around 10,000 BC in one of the oldest known towns on Earth, Çatalhöyük, dating about 6200 BC. was
Çatalhöyük.
established there.
and from there it was like the Bronze Age, the Hittites, the Phrygians,
Hittites,
Persians,
yeah.
Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, Seljuks, Ottomans.
Do you
and then
guys remember the video of Kraut, the video that Kraut had on Turkey? I still remember some of that stuff. You know, the Hittites, the Seljuk Turks, the Ottomans, of course, huge part of the Ottomans.
finally, the republic that stands today. Lots of stuff.
First, let's jump into the
Based
map and
out
see
of
what
Turk.
Turkey administers today.
Turkey is a transcontinental country located right at what is considered the boundaries between Europe and Asia. The vast majority of the country lies on the Anatolian Peninsula, straddled
yeah.
between the Black Sea to the north, the Mediterranean to the south, and the Aegean to the west. This is considered the Asia part of Turkey.
Like
In antiquity, it was even
95%
called
of it.
Asia Minor. As for the Europe part, we go to the Thrace Peninsula, which connects to the Balkans, separated by the Bosphorus Strait, the Sea of Marmara, and the Dardanelles off the Gallipoli Peninsula from the Asia part of the country. The Thrace
Gallipoli.
Peninsula only
Don't
makes up
tell
3%
Winston
of the country's
Churchill.
landmass, yet it holds about 10% of the country's population. The country's capital and second largest city is Ankara, also known as Angora in antiquity, and is located
Angora.
more inland in the Anatolian Peninsula. The largest, busiest, world-renowned financial hub and only transcontinental city in the world, though, would be the
Istanbul.
city of Istanbul. Classified as a megacity, it straddles both the European and Asian sides of the country across the Bosphorus. In antiquity, it was also known as Ligos, Byzantium, and Constantinople until it changed its name in
Oh,
1928.
damn. Could you imagine like traveling to Istanbul and like start calling it like Constantinople, how do you think people would react? If you go to Turkey and start like saying, "Oh, welcome to Constantinople," do you think like people would get offended? That'd be an interesting experiment. I don't know. I would do it. I'd totally be like, "Yeah, I'm in Constantinople." Or Byzantium. That's actually pretty cool
Istanbul,
sounding
of course,
too.
also hosts the busiest shipping port, the port of Haydar Pasha, as well as the biggest and busiest airport, the newly finished Istanbul International, located on the north side of the city. If you flew to Istanbul prior
Newly
to 2019, you probably arrived in Ataturk International on the
Constantinople.
south side before they transferred all passengers.
Whoa! They actually named the airport, after the Ataturk. That's cool, though. I approve that. I appreciate that. If you don't know who Ataturk is, then go fuck yourself. Constantinople sounds cooler, though. Yeah.
Operations to the new airport and made Ataturk a cargo hub. Otherwise, the country is divided into 81 provinces, or vilayet. Off the western coast in the Aegean, you notice there's a lot of islands. However, interestingly enough, all but 2 of them actually belong to Greece. These 2 right here. This was due to the Treaty of Athens in 1913, which clarified sovereignty over the Aegean. This has been a source of contention for maritime boundaries and access for Turkish ships trying to leave the west coast, and today it's still a little complicated. Nonetheless, Turks come and visit these islands all the time. It's not like there's a crazy conflict going on. Speaking of which, there's another dispute.
Yeah,
that
it's
they
like
have
a
with
little
Syria
conflict,
over the
right?
Hatay
It's not
province.
that bad.
This was the last province to join the Republic in 1939.
Oh,
Syria
really?
never formally recognized the referendum that the French officiated that gave it to Turkey, and today's Syrian maps still show the Hatay province as theirs.
Oh, damn. As of October for Turkey, the official annual inflation rate was 85%. Bro, holy fuck. I mean, and I'm thinking that here we have like 10%, and that we're like, damn, that's a lot. 85 is a lot. Yeah, Turkey has an insane inflation. I hope they talk about it.
Side note, we all know Turkey has a town named Batman, in which the mayor literally tried to sue the director of Batman Begins.
But Turkey also has some funny literal translated names.
Yeah.
These here, why don't you just go through some of them?
Balıkesir, fish prisoner. Adıyaman, its name is bad.
That literally means its name is
Its
bad.
name is
Yeah,
bad.
Tokat, slap. It just means slap.
And the last
And
one,
Afyonkarahisar, opium black fortress.
Opium black.
Opium
Yeah,
Black
it's where
Fortress.
opium grows.
In any case, going back to history
I
though,
like that.
Istanbul was essentially the capital of the Byzantine Empire. Barbarians invaded from the Danube, Arabs came from the southeast, even some Slavs came in from the Black Sea coast. It was chaos everywhere.
It wasn't until the 11th century you started to see the first Turkish
A lot of people wanted to take Constantinople back in the day, like a lot. A very good time to visit Turkey. That is true, though. Very cheap currency.
peoples fully settling in what is now Turkey, starting with the Seljuk Empire.
That's why he said he visited Turkey, right? Like he found the cheap flight, and why there was a cheap flight? Probably in part because of the currency. Although apparently due to recent skirmishes between Turkey and Greece, Turkey had plans to invade the Greek islands. Holy shit. Could you imagine? Aren't that, that's like 2 NATO members. That'd be terrible.
Which was actually Perso-Turkic, but you get the point.
American petrodollar W. Oh, total W,
when
dude.
Osman I initiated the Ottoman Empire in the Bursa province area.
You've probably heard of the Ottoman Empire. It lasted for about 600 years until the Balkan Wars leading up to World War I, when all hell broke loose. The Treaty of Sèvres, which was signed and essentially attempted to carve out what
Turkey,
was left
yeah.
amongst the Allies from the Turkey.
Yeah, this was supposed to be like an international area. This was like for Italy, to Italy also, Italy, France, but yeah, just a
The
bunch of
Anatolia
stuff.
Peninsula.
The thing is, though, it's incredibly hard to carve out the heart and nucleus of an empire, aka the Anatolian Peninsula.
Not easy. In comes Ataturk.
This guy is
Yes,
basically the father
sir!
of modern Turkey, who
Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. I wonder what they are gonna
Fought
say
against
about
partition
my
forces in
man, but I hope they say good stuff about him. I hope they talk. I hope they make him good because he is like the Turkish god.
In comes Ataturk.
This guy is basically the father of modern Turkey,
Yep.
who fought against partition forces and wanted to salvage the Anatolian Peninsula as a new Turkish republic that would modernize, industrialize, and secularize, even though many people
Secularize.
still maintain Islamic core values.
This would essentially make them the first Muslim-majority country to have secularism embedded in its constitution and a clause that stated that it could not be removed.
And there have been 5 coups throughout history on the grounds that these principles were in danger.
Anyway, back to the early 20th century, the transition from the Ottoman times to the
Ataturk,
Republic times was followed
boss.
by lots of fighting, paranoia, proxy intervention, displacement practices, and bloodshed. We'll talk more about this later in the episode, but here's the deal. Whenever we make this bell sound, It means here are the Cliff Notes version of a hot button topic that we will not go too far into, and you are welcome to discuss it in the comments. Obviously, we assume you will be writing civil words in lowercase letters.
Of course. Until then, moving on.
Okay, what else do we have, Ege?
Well, Turkey joined NATO in 1952, yet also invaded northern Cyprus in 1974
Yeah, what's
in
up with that?
retaliation to Greece's coup.
Also, the southeastern part of the country where the majority Kurdish population lives,
Oh.
is where the PKK...
Yeah, I forgot, but there's really a lot of controversial stuff when it comes to like Turkey, right? Think about the Kurds, the Armenian genocide, all the beef with Greece. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that's just gotta be really uncomfortable, even in my comments, maybe. I don't know. But hey, we're not here to judge.
Jeez, it hasn't even been 10 seconds and already, like... Let's just move on.
Yeah, in addition, Turkey has been one of the longest in limbo candidates for joining the EU.
Anyway, it kind of went like this.
Okay, Turkey, you've been a member of the Council of Europe. You're an associate of the ECC. And you have a customs union with us. Good, good, good. But there are 35 chapters of criteria of EU ascension. And how many have you completed?
16. Hey, I took in a lot of refugees. Doesn't that make me look a little bit better? I mean, I'm holding one right now.
Yeah, but there's other stuff that, yeah. We're suspending all negotiations until you figure it out.
Yeah, screw it. Here's another.
We seriously need to move on from all this political talk and discuss something else because the comment section is
It's a
gonna be on
lot.
fire.
Hey, I know, with all the history and unique regions, Turkey hosts a lot of notable sites of interest. To talk more on that, here's one of our Turkish geographers to explain.
Merhaba, hi guys, my name is Cansu and I would love to tell you about some of the wonderful
She has also
places we have in
bluish
Turkey.
eyes,
First off,
or
we
like
are
green.
obviously a land of history
It's
and
interesting.
there are hundreds of ancient sites that date back thousands of years. Remember the famous Battle of Troy? Yep, the ancient Troy is in Turkey and people from the movie actually left the Trojan horse in Çanakkale. In addition,
look at that.
we have the Mount Nemrut head statues, Cappadocia's cave houses, Mardin sandstone building, Myra's rock tombs.
I mean,
and
yeah, Turkey must be, for us history nerds, it must be pretty cool to go to Turkey, you know? Like, I'm seeing these pictures and I'm like, damn, I want to go to Turkey, man. Speaking of crashing currencies, did you hear about Paris overtaking London as the largest stock market in Europe? No, I did not hear that. And that is quite important though. Wow, Paris, congratulations to them.
So the tomb of
That's
Santa
like a
Claus,
big
aka
deal.
Saint Nicholas. Yes, he was born in Turkey. We have old castles.
Santa
everywhere
Claus was born in Turkey?
In Ankara, Alanya, Bodrum, Giresun, Kastamonu.
Okay.
And the only
That's a
thing
cool
that
fact, though.
outnumbers our
You guys have
castles
Santa
is our
Claus.
hammams. It's a huge part of our culture and it's kind of a Turkish traditional bachelor/bachelor
I've been to Turkey before, it's
party.
beautiful.
And finally,
Saw
Antalya
plenty of
Forum
Roman
was about
ruins.
Hagia
Ooh.
Sophia, our most famous site in Istanbul, and it is very close to Blue Mosque, which is another stunning piece of architecture. And last but not least, let's not forget the Grand Bazaar. with
I bet.
61
Yeah, I
streets
bet
and
Turkey with all
4,000
those ruins
shops.
is beautiful.
Teşekkürler. Umarım Türkiye'ye gitme fırsatınız olduğunda buraları
Oh.
görebilirsiniz. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, that was a lot of info and we barely even started the episode.
Yeah. Well, let's tone things down a bit and go into the least crazy part of this episode.
Let's show the natural side of Turkey, the land.
The land. So Turkey's land will always find a way to shock you.
1 minute you're gonna
Why use your own monuments for tourism when you can just appropriate from Greece and Rome? Damn. Sounds fairly controversial. I don't know. Would that be controversial in the comments? I
Hazelnut
don't know.
Forest and the next
Not
year
gonna
we're
say
have
anything
rock
just in
forest.
case.
It's a lot. So much extreme terrain. Let's explain in the motion graphic.
First of all, Turkey lies right at the convergence of the African, Eurasian, and Arabian plates,
Wow,
converging
literally.
at the North and East Anatolian fault lines. This essentially creates their own mini plate known as the Anatolian plate, which is technically being pushed counterclockwise as the Arabian plate pushes up and the African plate subducts under the Cyprus arc. This means Turkey is subject to occasional earthquakes and has geothermal activity, although the majority of their volcanoes are dormant or extinct in activity. All these fault lines are what contribute
Good
to
for them.
80% or so of
Sounds
the country
nice.
being mountainous, with three main ranges.
Wow.
The Pontic Mountains in the north, the Taurus Mountains in the south. In between both of these, you find the Anatolian Plateau. And finally, to the far east,
You find the Aras Mountains.
this is the highest region of Turkey with the highest peak, Mount Ogridogi, or more commonly known as Ararat, which is actually a
Ogridogi?
dormant compound volcano. From these mountains, the mighty rivers of Turkey
It's
flow. The longest
interesting
one
that it's very
completely in
close to,
Turkey
like, the
being
border with
Kızılırmak,
Iran.
or Red River, which empties into the Black Sea. It's also important to note that the source of the famous Euphrates and Tigris rivers are in Turkey as well. They flow down from the mountains and feed millions to the
Interesting
Middle
that
East
they
below.
control
Also,
those
in
rivers.
this eastern area, you can find the largest lake of the country, Lake Van, in the eastern Armenian highlands as well. Basically, each of the regions has
God,
their own unique
he said
distinct
Armenian.
terrain and microclimate. The North Black Sea coast is the most lush with forests and receives the most rainfall. The Thracian Peninsula and Marmara regions are the flattest part of the country. The Aegean and southern coasts have a Mediterranean climate. The central Anatolian plateau is like the grain harvest belt of Turkey. The southeastern parts closer to Syria and Iraq are more dry and arid. And of course, in the far east, you find the tallest mountains and the coldest weather, specifically the town of Erzurum, which takes the title of the coldest place in Turkey.
Also, a side note, remember Armenians
Nice.
are super
Snow in
sensitive
Turkey.
with Otter
Like
or
that.
Mount Ararat. It's like sacred to them and it's on like their coat of arms and they name out all of their commercial products after it.
Don't you live by a bunch of Armenians in Los Angeles?
Yes, I do.
How do you feel about uploading this video after you get back?
Don't worry, it's LA Armenians. They're cool with me. Plus, they're like too busy with real estate and like rooftop raves. So anyway,
There are so many other unique natural sites Turkey has locked away in their domain. Dude, Cappadocia is like a different planet. So many weird eroded formations.
now this is usually the part where Noah comes in, but obviously he's not in Turkey, so we're just gonna take over his segment. Love you, Noah. Sorry, but we'll do your segment.
So economically, Turkey is definitely a regional powerhouse, classified as an emerging economy by the World Bank.
They were co-founders of the OECD and are part of the G20.
Nice.
They're an upper middle income nation per
Going
capita.
down.
By
Going
GDP
down, yeah.
standards.
In fact, by market cap value, Enka, a construction firm, and Erdemir, a steel producer, usually rank in the top 5 largest companies in Turkey.
Not far behind is Turkish Airlines, which has more international destinations than any other airline in the world.
Wow.
About 130.
Turkish
Yeah, this has been-
Airlines. Yeah, I've heard that that is huge. Turkish Airlines is like one of the biggest airlines in the world. I imagine many of you guys have used Turkish Airlines before.
Istanbul, the second biggest
Actually, I think
airport in the
I've
world
used
in terms
Turkish
of
Airlines.
international
No, I
passenger
haven't.
traffic.
Every year, they get closer and closer to dethroning Dubai.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Yeah, no, I'm still the best ever that's ever existed. Shut up!
In any case,
Turkey is also a medical hotspot, specifically in the plastic and reconstructive surgery department.
when walking
Plastic
around Istanbul,
surgery.
don't be shocked if you
I
find a
know.
lot of men with bandages around their heads. Turkey is the hair transplant capital of the world. And here's Art to
Nice.
explain a little
We
bit
like
more 'cause,
that,
he
you
knows
know.
something.
Hey guys, so as you know,
I'm not getting bald or anything, but if I were, I would go to Turkey. Did you hear about the attack in Istanbul the other day? 6 people were killed. I did not heard about that, which is a little weird, but I didn't knew that 6 people died. Jesus. Was it like what you would call a terrorist attack or just like a normal attack? I'm interested
my
to know
family
more.
spend a lot of time in Turkey. So we had an idea and we did a thing. We created a 5-star VIP medical tourism service called Beauty Mill, where we provide hair transplants and over 70 other cosmetic procedures with our doctors in Turkey. Yeah, it's a really cool experience. I was actually one of those guys. I actually had hair transplants.
Ah,
A lot of
really?
guys are weird to talk about it, but I actually did get it done. I was very happy with it. Check it out. Link in description.
Aw, Art being so transparent. We love it.
Shut up.
Yeah, we only promote businesses on these country episodes if the business is affiliated with the country or if it is from a small business from a subscriber so that you can support
Yeah, I saw
them.
a
Anyway,
video from
thank you, Art.
ATR.
Turkey is also a world-renowned mineral and agriculture powerhouse.
Today, they are the leaders in producing things like boron, pumice, feldspar. I don't even know what feldspar is. Apricots, cherries, figs, and the national pride crop, hazelnuts.
Yeah, they say we're gonna eat boar.
Yeah, terror attack. The suspect left a bomb on the floor before it went off. Maybe we can check some of that after the video ends.
On
Be interesting to-
sandwiches.
interested to know
Nice
more.
product placement.
Some of this agricultural production, though, has led to the overusage of underwater aquifer sources, which have led to massive sinkholes speckled throughout the interior of the country.
The Konya province alone has over 300 of them, ranging in just a few
300
years
of
wide.
them. Damn. How do you feel, bro? When you could be like at your home and like one of these fucking sinkholes just appears. That's fucking scary, dude. Imagine just like camping in the middle of this field or this field, right? And you just like the earth just consumes itself. That's scary. Yeah, that's not a good.
Nearly 200. Yeah,
I
they're
don't
really
know.
cool on the way to Alanya. And another thing you can find in the environment are animals. And Gary Harlow obviously is not with us in Turkey, so...
So Caleb has a baby and he has baby.
Oh,
squeeze.
thank God. I
So,
fucking hate that guy.
Gabs, your filling in.
Let's just get it over with. No, turkeys do not come from Turkey. The American turkey got its name from Turkey because the European settlers thought it looked like a guinea fowl from Turkey. So they called it a turkey fowl, later shortened it to just turkey. And that's how we got turkey. Don't ask any more questions, all right?
Nice.
Turkey used to be one of the only few places that had both tigers around and lions around at the same time until they became locally extinct or permanently migrated out. Now, Turkey is the land of the cats. And it's estimated that Istanbul alone has over 200,000 stray cats. They are treated nicely by the locals who feed and tend to them. This is why you will never see either mice, rats, cockroaches,
Yep, those cats keep them clean. A Catalhuyuk has existed as a settlement for 9,000 years. That's as old as the Pyramid of Giza. And the Pyramid of Giza is to... that's as old as the Pyramid of Giza as the Pyramid of Giza is to us. Wow, that's an interesting fact, though. 9,000 years, that's
in the major cities in Turkey.
quite a bit of time.
And if you're caught harming any of these stray cats, the community, oh brother, a whipping down. They love stray cats so much that they actually immortalized the beloved Tombili, the chill cat.
Tombili,
after she passed away in 2016. So sad. Nonetheless, despite having a love of cats, the national animal is actually the gray wolf. There's a saying to describe the Turkish soul. Yes, a lion or a tiger may be stronger, but you'll never see a wolf in a circus. Think about it. Just think about it. So that's all the time we have for me and this hat. I guess I gotta give it back. I guess I'll just kind of give it back. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, fake Gary Harlow. And with that in mind, let's discuss.
I like him better.
animals
I like
on
that guy
people's
better
plates.
than...
Turks are heavy meat eaters.
Sorry, vegans.
Which of course means we will now discuss the food of Turkey.
We're talking about the home of Cezene Burak guy. That guy is insane.
This is
Have
gonna
you
be
seen
good.
the size of the platters that guy makes?
Well, we don't have him with us right now, but we do have you guys, the Turkish geography peeps, to explain a little
Come
bit more on the
on.
food and cuisine.
Show
of Turkey.
me
Hey
some
everyone,
food.
I'm
Oh,
Rabia,
Hey everyone, it's Furkan.
and I'm going to tell you a bit about the food of Turkey.
much better than Gary Harlow. Oh yeah, dude, so much better. And talking about so much better, I think I'm in love. Not to be weird or anything, but she's really beautiful.
So, Turkish cuisine is based on a fusion of all the surrounding cultures they were in contact
So like
with throughout
Arab,
history.
You'll
Persian,
find hints
Greek.
of flavors and ingredients from Mediterranean, Central Asia.
Caucasus and the Middle East.
Fun fact, Swedish meatballs is actually originated from here. King Charles
No! No, Swedish meatballs are actually from Turkey. Ah, damn. I just said something about Swedish meatballs in like one of my recent videos. Gary Harlow. Oh God, I hate that. I hate the fake accent. You know, Jesus. Thank God he's not there.
was on exile and brought back the recipe for köfte from Ottoman Empire.
Also, keep in mind we love putting yogurt on everything, especially if it's seasoned with things like garlic and mint.
Actually, it's not yogurt, it's yoğurt.
İskender,
Yoğurt.
bamya dolması, lahmacun.
Oh shit, that's actually how we pronounce it in Spanish. In Spanish, you say yogurt. That's the word in Spanish. So maybe we got that in common. I don't know, but it sounds pretty nice.
İncik böreği, çaputaşı pilavı, mantı, çiğ köfte,
Sarma, kuru fasulye, kısır, kokoreç, menemen, işkembe çorbası.
and of course, the most famous dishes you've
Doner
probably
and
heard of already,
kebab.
döner and kebab.
Keep in mind, you might have seen restaurants called döner kebab. There's no such thing. There are two separate items. Döner, which is cooked on a turning spit, and kebab, which is cooked on a skewer.
This is the best part. We have a lot of desserts too.
Turkish delight, lokum.
Ooh, yeah, I've heard about those candies. I've seen it in movies and whatnot, and it looks delicious. Plus, I was gonna say about this thing right here.
Restaurants called döner kebab. There's no such thing. There are two separate items. Döner, which is
The doner, like a lot of Mexican tacos, like, for example, let me show you. Like, yeah, exactly. Do you see this? Like, this is how we prepare our tacos. I don't know if you can see that. Like, this is how us in Mexico prepare our tacos. You know, I mean, it's literally the exact same thing. It's the same thing. And even the pineapple on top, it's like they also put stuff on top. So that's crazy, dude. Like, who copied who? And I think I know the answer. And it's unfortunately us. Turkish food is so good. It looks
Cooked on a turning
delicious,
spit,
man.
and
Oof.
kebab, which is cooked on a skewer.
This is the
I've
best
never
one.
tasted
We
a
have
kebab in my
lot of
life.
Desserts too.
Turkish delight,
Ooh.
lokum, which is quite famous, I guess. Kadayıf, künefe.
Maraş ice cream. The Fez guy who's turned these things. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Lüle haşhaş tatlısı.
I want to experience that.
It literally means a bomb.
In market, you might find Ottoman macun candy.
Also, we have many drinks as well.
For one, we are the highest consumers of tea
Nice.
out of any
I love
country in
tea.
the world. And just like other nations in the Balkans, we love drinking our ayran.
We love drinking ayran.
We also have things like şerbet, salep, boza, şalgam, and rakı.
And of course, if you have the chance, try some Turkish coffee.
Thank you. Yeah, Turkish coffee is not
Oh,
about the type
man.
of bean they use, but rather the way it's prepared. They will boil water in a jezva with incredibly fine ground coffee, almost to the point where it's like powder, and then they serve it.
I'm
with
walking
the grinds.
home as I
No
listen
filtering.
to
Sometimes we
this.
even do this thing where we
Yeah,
heat up
bro,
the
be
pot
safe.
in a heated sandpit so the coffee is actually baked, not boiled.
British tradition, getting a kebab at 1 in the morning whilst drunk. I definitely have to experience that at least once in my life. And I guess that's how in America, like it's the exact same tradition, but with tacos, you also do it with a kebab in the United Kingdom. So that's
Also, I
interesting.
learned this the first time I met Ege. After you finish drinking your coffee, you can tell your fortune. They like lift
Same
it
in
upside down
Germany.
and then they look at the
Nice.
coffee grinds, and you like come up with a fortune.
There's even an app for that, I think.
Like they check the coffee grinds.
Yeah, I think so. You can like scan it.
Yeah, that's the other thing I noticed. Turkish people have a lot of superstitions and rituals that they kind of live by.
Yeah, that's a whole another story. We'll talk more about that in the next segment.
The
demographics, right?
So, what is a Turk? This is not a simple
Wow.
question to answer, especially since
Highest tea drinkers per capita in the world. They drink 50% more tea than the United Kingdom itself. Wow. There we go. Turkey.
Turkey has gone through so much change in the past several millennia.
First, we need to make the quick distinction
Turk
between the
against
terms Turk
Turkic.
and Turk.
Yeah, this
Turk
is
or
important.
Turkish are used interchangeably to refer to someone from Turkey. Turkic refers to the Turkic ethnic group,
diaspora,
a family
yeah.
broken down into 6 main branches that extend all the way from Turkey to Siberia.
This means yes, Turkish people are distant cousins of people like Siberians, Kazakhs, Uyghurs, Uzbeks, Tatars, and so on.
Ethnographers speculate that they are even
Uralic?
intertwined with Uralic and Ugric people groups.
Wait, so even we're related to them?
By weird technical long distance default, kind of yes.
Yeah.
And even Viktor Orban says that they're related to the Turks.
So there's something going on.
Ah.
That being said, many Turks
It's an interesting thing for Orban to say, especially considering the context. Turkish apple tea is good. Apple tea? I've never had that. Ooh, but that sounds delicious, man.
Turkey today are probably a genetic admixture of who
I'm,
knows
like,
what
salivating.
from
What the
anywhere
fuck?
and everywhere that got in contact with the Anatolian Peninsula over the past 2 millennia.
You can find everything from blonde-haired, blue-eyed Turks to, yes, even a small community of Afro-Turks.
In any case, if you want an actual visual of how the
Nice.
country breaks down ethnically,
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. And it is something that I even, like, right now, I have a little bit of a question. Like, why are there so many, like, white Turks, you know? Like, a lot of them are white. I mean, even this guy looks fairly white. So I don't know. I mean, I know it's kind of like a very dumb American-like question, but it's just interesting. Like so many, and I guess that's, you know, like for example, the people that did the Crusades and maybe stayed near the Anatolian Peninsula, the Vikings or Normans that's settled in the Anatolian Peninsula. I have no clue, but there's a lot of them, you know, apparently.
Here's the demographics graph.
First of all, the country has a population of about 85 million people and is host to the largest refugee population on Earth. Now here's where things get a little complicated because Turkey doesn't really have super reliable data on ethnic statistics of their country, and the term Turk is defined by the constitution as anyone that is bound to the Turkish state through citizenship, which means any citizen is considered a Turk regardless of ethnic background. It is also known that there are about 50 non-Turkish ethnic groups represented in the country. Nonetheless, independent sociologists have speculated that somewhere around 70 to 80% of the country would most likely identify as ethnic Turks to whatever degree that may be.
Kurds and the
Arabs.
Arabs.
The largest minority group are Kurds, estimated to be anywhere from 12 up to 20-ish maybe percent of the country. From there, the remainder of the population are other ethnic groups, mostly Arabs, Armenians, Greeks, Assyrians, Circassians, Bosniaks, Roma.
Also, yeah, there's also like
We use the
Greeks
Turkish
in
lira as our
Turkey.
currency. We use the Type CNF plug outlets, and we drive on the right side of the road.
Speaking of driving, I learned that pretty much everybody outside of Istanbul hates the license plate number 34.
Yes, we do.
Every province has a number, and 34 is Istanbul.
And mine is 39.
You have it on your chest.
Yes.
39.
And people usually keep crowbars in their cars in any case of a fight.
In case of a fight breaks out,
Yeah.
you guys have weapons in your cars.
Yes.
Wow, they have crowbars in their cars. Just because, if someone is speeding next to you, well, give it a good beating, beat the crap out of them. Many people from Greece and Bulgaria and Bosnia converted to Islam during the Ottoman era. When the Ottomans lost, these peoples left for Turkey. That makes sense, though. That makes a lot of sense.
Language-wise, obviously Turkish is the official language. It is
Turkey!
written in a Latin script. It was actually adopted in 1928, replacing a modified Arabic script prior to that.
Our ancestors actually used our own.
Yeah, that's actually pretty nice. I learned all of that in the Krauts video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out because we learned a shit ton about Turkey. There's old Göktürk language.
Versions of the old Göktürk and Uyghur alphabet, which had these cool jagged blade-shaped letters that would later inspire the old Hungarian alphabet.
Man, I guess we do have some weird connection to you guys, huh?
Now going back to the people of Turkey, as we mentioned, Turkey is also pretty diverse.
As mentioned, the Kurds are the largest minority, mostly concentrated in the
Oh,
southeastern
damn.
provinces bordering Iraq and Syria.
We already did a video explaining about the Kurds and who they are, but basically they are a stateless Iranic group of people related to the Persians.
I remember that, yeah.
They speak their own language, completely unrelated
Love that
to
video,
Turkish,
dude.
and they are spread across 4 countries in the Middle East, mostly
Iran?
in Turkey though. And since we're already on the topic, let's just get it over with and rip off the
Oh,
Armenia
no.
Band-Aid thing. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. During the transition years of becoming a republic, there were lots of fighting, and the Armenians, being assisted by Russians, was heavily involved. Since then, Armenia has
yikes.
requested the Turkish government acknowledge the incident
I don't even want to listen
genocide,
to
whereas
this.
Turkey's government, to some extent, will acknowledge that
Yeah,
tragedies
come on,
have
just-
occurred. However,
just
the
get it
narrative
over
is
with,
more
bro.
nuanced, and they would not use the word genocide. This is the
Yeah,
basic
yeah,
foundation
genocide,
of the
blah,
argument.
blah, blah,
In Turkish
Armenia.
schools, the incident is taught
Jesus
as tehcir,
Christ,
which is a
this is-
displacement.
this
Some
is
Ottoman
painful.
officials who abuse their power and mistreat
This is
the displaced
painful to
Armenians
watch,
were
and I'm
hanged.
not
But
even
keep in
listening.
mind, this is the official Turkish government story. So make up your own mind.
Make up
do
your
own
mind. This is what the
research.
Turkish government says.
Yes.
Talk
Yeah,
about it in the
ding,
comments.
ding, ding.
Yeah,
For
ding,
what it's
ding,
worth,
ding,
though,
ding,
on
ding,
a mundane,
fuck.
personal level, Turks often can just befriend people like Armenians, Kurds, and Greeks. It's not like they're like, oh, when they meet each other, it's like they can interact with each other.
Yeah, I
That's
just
true,
made a
though.
big
That's
friend
true.
with
They
today.
probably
We have
don't
that footage. Mike
hate
was
each
really
other.
Cool. Mike,
We
miss
were
you, man.
really
Armenian,
you know,
Greek.
hitting it off.
You were vibing, man.
Yeah,
Like
a
you
lot
guys,
of things are in common.
you use like the same words. You like
Yeah.
have the same everything. Like
Yeah, we're basically from Thrace, both of us.
Thracian people. It's like one people. It's crazy.
And another thing, being close to conflict zones, Turkey has become the largest refugee host in the world with about 4 million, including nearly 65% of the entire world's registered Syrian refugees.
Wow.
Supposedly the number is up for debate because a lot of people
65%.
also
Take
cross
that,
over.
Germany. Jesus. 65%. I mean, how do they even handle that?
Register. So
It's 100% higher than that.
well, with that, let's talk about another part of Turkey's identity: religion. Although secular by
Islam.
constitution, according to the government's
Yes.
old registration system,
Remember the
about
Ataturk.
98% of the country claims to be Muslim to whatever degree of actual devotion. The majority at about 75% being Sunni, affiliated with the Hanafi school of jurisprudence.
Well, in the past, people were
98%. Do you guys think that's true? Like 95% of them, sorry, 98% of them are religious? I don't know. I mean, people in the comments can talk more about this, but 98%, that sounds like a lot of people. I don't know. I think there would be more atheists in the country of Ataturk, right? But hey,
supposed to have a registration for their religion, and if they had just one Muslim parent, they would be automatically registered as Muslim. The data is probably a little bit skewed. For what it's worth, historically, before Ottoman times, the lands Turkey died in used to be very
okay. Well, sorry, man. He says that people used to be automatically registered as Muslim. Okay, gotcha.
Like literally
Sorry
half of all
about
the cities in
that.
the New Testament of the Bible that the Apostle Paul visited refer to current renamed cities of Turkey, like Ephesus, Tarsus, Lycia. Even the ecumenical patriarch of the Eastern Orthodox Church is located in Istanbul.
It's interesting though, because despite the Islamic undertones, Turkey and often their Turkic cousins can be very superstitious and fall into practices like fortune telling and astrology.
It's
even.
huge out here.
Yeah.
So like technically
Bruh.
it's considered haram, but like you guys still do it.
And that's the thing you'll notice
So
in Turkey. There's
wait, hold up. Is it's haram, but people still do it? What? And plus, it's like super stupid because it's astrology.
kind of like a dichotomy or fusion between the Islamic side and the Turkic side of people's identity.
And that's the other thing too, like a lot of times people kind of conflate you guys with Arabs because
Turks
Islam
are not
usually
Arabs.
gets tied in with Arabism so much. But
Yeah,
it's
we're like the least Arabized Muslim majority country.
But like people don't seem to understand that.
Yeah, and one thing they've upheld for thousands of years are
I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to complain about. Why do they make it such a big deal that they are not Arabs, or that they are not Arabized? Sounds a little strange. Fun fact, before the Ottomans conquered Egypt and Iraq in the 16th century, the Ottoman Empire had more Christians in it. A lot of Turks also drink alcohol in Germany, but pork is a no-no. Yeah, like what the fuck with that, bro? Yeah, let me get fucking wasted, but I'm not gonna eat pork. Islam made astrology haram? Maybe it's not so bad after all. True that. I'm starting to like Islam.
their recreational activities. With that, here's Art with the sports part.
I had to write something.
All right, guys, Turkey and sports. But first, guess what? Tarçın's name is actually Turkish, and it means cinnamon. That's all we need you for, buddy. So, he didn't die, don't worry. First off, they have lots of native sports. Every year on the West Coast,
I don't like sports.
Camel Wrestling Festival. In which
wait. I think I might regret that comment. Camel wrestling. Holy shit. Just imagine seeing a pair of camels wrestling. Okay, you know what? I think I might like this part.
Naturally fight each other for mates. So they decided to make it a sport. That's what they fight for, mating. They're heavily monitored by referees and are muzzled so they don't bite.
Referees? There's referees and all.
Horseback javelin throwing sport. So here's a clip from the movie Beyaz Melik showing how it's done in a safe and cinematically choreographed manner. And finally, you've probably heard of this one, Turkish oil wrestling. This is most famous in the Thrace region, done on a grass field wearing heavy water buffalo pants. You have to either expose your opponent's belly upwards, make them fall to the side, or carry them for a few steps. They're covered in olive oil to make grappling difficult, meaning wrestlers of different weights can wrestle fairly using speed and technique while also repelling mosquitoes.
Why'd you say that as a question?
Because why are mosquitoes important, right?
But we're saying what the olive oil is for.
It's to repel mosquitoes.
Nice.
Can be that too.
Take out the mosquitoes, bro.
Imagine a ripped camel, though. That'd be so funny, dude. Most of the Turkish people I know in the UK drink and party hard. Yeah, like what the fuck's up with that, dude? They party, they do astrology. Like, Islam be like, what?
Pretty well in many other contemporary sports. They've gathered over 100 medals in the Olympics since debuting in 1908. Their strongest event being wrestling, with a total of 29 golds as of 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
I guess that oil
teams
wrestling.
have won numerous European championship titles and medals. And of course, Turks will tell you so much about their accomplishments in soccer or football. These three teams are the most attention-grabbing clubs in the entire country. When there is a derby between them, the fans go crazy. People get violent.
I mean, does Turkey has a lot of accomplishment in soccer, really? I mean, they're not even in the World Cup. So I don't know, man. I don't know about that.
Police have to be present to stop the fans from stabbing each other. Otherwise, they were super pumped when they reached third place in the 2002 World Cup. And this guy, Hasan Şükür, holds the record for fastest goal in the World Cup. I mean, there's so much to discuss about Turkish football, but, I'm going to let you guys hash it out in the comments. You guys can call each other little bitches and you can verbally assault each other. All right, guys, that's all I got for you for the Turkey episode. If you guys are interested in getting some cosmetic work done, you can visit us at beautymill.travel in Turkey. Yeah.
That was the lamest, most tame exit you've ever had, Art.
Screw you, Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Art. Have people died at these soccer fights?
Is there actually a plan for a specific real-life lore video? Not a specific one, so, if you want to recommend one, absolutely, I'll take it. I'm American, and I think it should be called football here. I know, right? That's something, I don't like soccer. It's like, why not call it football? What should American football be called then? Golden Toaster. Oh, good question, though. Holy fuck. Next year on 29th of October will be the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Turkish Republic. That's gonna be lit. They're probably gonna do something, maybe we can live stream it.
I think many might have.
Maybe. It's possible.
Don't quote me on that.
And that's another thing about your culture. And to talk a little bit more about that, here's Random Hannah. And I'm not even sure if she can do this segment, but let's find out.
Hannah's busy. She's in Alabama doing Alabama stuff. So we got Hannah too, her stunt double.
Oh my God.
It's just me, Gabriel, Gab. Barb's is really pulling me into this episode, really getting all he can out of me. So, Turkish culture, what is it exactly? Turks are obsessed with hygiene. You're often going to find them with handkerchiefs or mendil, and every Turk has a bottle of colonia. It's like a perfume that they pour on their hands to cool down, or if they're just generally stressed. It actually does.
I like that.
originate in
I
Turkey,
like
it comes
that.
from Germany. When greeting elders, what they'll do is they'll grab the hand and they'll kind of kiss it. And then they'll put it on the forehead. And then when men greet each other, they shake hands. A boosh. A little concussion there and a little concussion there. Oh, they also do the side hug thing, more my style. Boom to the left. Boom to the right. There are a lot of superstitions in Turkey. The most famous one that everybody knows of is
American football.
the evil eye. The concept, it exists in other countries, but it is huge in Turkey. It's basically the idea of getting bad luck because someone else is jealous of you. This is why you're going to see the Nazar porcelain glass amulet. It's
I've seen
everywhere in
that,
Turkey.
yeah.
Sometimes people will take it, they'll put it on things that people will get jealous of, or they'll even put it on people too. Anything. You know what? The rituals are just too crazy for me to explain. Here's some of the subscribers who could do a much better job than me.
So, we Turks have a lot of quirks.
Yeah, again, it's interesting that they have a lot of like superstitions though, and they follow Islam. So I don't know, you know. She has blue eyes, by the way. So again, interesting. As always, like the imperial system, the British came up with soccer and we adopted it and never moved on from it. Isn't like, don't the British call it foot? Like the British also call it soccer? I didn't knew that. I thought that the British called it football, but maybe you're right. Yeah.
Do this thing where they grab their earlobe, make a kiss sound, and knock the wood.
It is believed that itching of the right hand means getting unexpected money from somewhere.
Cutting your nails at night are seen as things which would attract bad luck.
Don't lend a sharp object to people. Either spit on it, or else you could be in a fight.
Don't eat in a bathroom or bed, or you will get haunted. I was scared.
Really?
For this one.
What? I love eating in my bed. So they used to call it soccer, but then they began using football. Oh, okay, got it.
I was a kid.
You should enter the house and use household with your right foot.
If someone is taking a long trip with their car, people generally pour water behind them.
If you buy a new pair of shoes, you should let the first person who notices them step on them.
Turks have this gesture.
Wait,
they do
what?
when they
I should step on my own shoes. Jesus, no thanks. I'm good.
get scared. They bite their thumb and push it up.
Slippers cannot be upside down at all.
When you drop bread on the floor, you have to kiss it and put it on your forehead 3 times.
Don't have too much fun. Don't laugh too much, or something bad could happen.
I especially like that one.
What the fuck? They truly have a lot of superstitions. That was hardcore. Could you react to Epic History's History of Russia? It's about an hour long, so perhaps for another stream. Part 5 is late 19th century of the world, so much better to watch. Yeah, sure, I could do it. Oh, yeah, you wanted to do Epic? Yeah, I'll actually do a stream about it. In fact, I'm gonna do a note about it. Bro tried to make friends with the Germans. It's like how Germans adopted Christianity and added some of their own traditions. Yeah. Epic History. Expected to be the next stream about the history of Russia. That's gonna be cool, though. It's gonna be fun. Especially because I don't know much about Russia. We did?
Turkey has a world-renowned entertainment industry. Even people in Brazil love Turkish drama.
Yeah, this is so true. My mom loves Turkish soap operas. She loves it. She watched like a full-on season of one about Soleimani, the Sultan, Sultan Soleimani, the Magnificent. And oh boy, it was long. It was like 80 episodes or 100 episodes. So yeah, long story short, my mom loves Turkish soap operas. It's interesting because we are in Mexico. We are very far from Turkey. We have our own soap operas, but she absolutely does love it. I don't know.
Probably the most famous drama abroad being this one, which translates to "What is Fatma Gul's wrongdoing?" What'd you do, Fatma Gul? I want to know.
Fatma
Also,
Gul.
Turkish movies are really popular as well. However, Turkish humor is so specific that it's almost impossible to translate the inside joke, like the cult classic movie Gora. And it's highly regarded
It's
as
a
the most
cool
popular
classic.
movie
What the
in Turkey.
fuck?
Now, it's basically about a Turkish scam artist fellow who gets abducted by some extraterrestrials. And then the whole movie's
Favorite pastime of all moms is to watch hour of dramas. The Anglo-Saxons converted to Christianity, but kept all the pagan traditions. They were just merged with Christianity. Oh, okay.
making fun of Hollywood from the Turkish
It looks like
perspective.
the
Finally,
Matrix guy.
Turkey's home to many festivals and celebrations. This rock festival actually got canceled this year. The district administration said it was too loud and too disturbing for the locals. But are those the real reasons? Oh, we're just never gonna know. And speaking of loud and disturbing, here's our favorite Florida man, Keith!
Did you guys miss me?
Yes,
Hope
sir.
everybody's doing well.
It's Keith.
Let's get to it. I'm Keith.
It's great.
We're supposed to talk about music. Well, this is an intense one because, you know, they have a lot of history. I mean, who doesn't know the Ottoman Empire and, you know, woo!
You know,
lots
stuff.
Of elements similar to Greek, Arab, Romanian, and Armenian, Turkish music. I wonder why. There are three main styles of folk. The Black Sea, the West Coast, and the South Coast all have their own different styles of folk music. On the Black Sea coast, the kemençe is played, and when they dance, there's a lot of shoulder shaking.
Yeah, they're like
this.
fucking
On the
killing
West
it.
Coast,
You know, if someone throws that move in the club, like, be careful. They're gonna steal your girlfriend.
shoulder shaking
Yeah.
gesture
Just
like
gotta-
this. In the West Coast, there's the Zeybek dance, Jumbosh. I'm sorry if I just absolutely butchered that. It's like a banjo without frets. And I don't know if it's tuned in fifths or not. I potentially tuned in fifths. In the South, you
I have
hear
no
more
idea what he's talking
arabesque
about.
music. It's slower and more depressing, like super depressing. People literally will commit self-harm at some of these concerts that are performed by this dude. In fact, the 80s was kind of like the super popular depressing era of music in Turkey. It was kind of like their goth phase. You have all these really great artists that will be listed over here. Turkey has a lot of traditional bards, like these guys. Now let's get into some of the modern stuff that goes on in Turkey now. Anatolia Rock, this is probably one of the most famous contemporary genres
Anatolian
around
rock.
Turkey. It's like a
All right.
fusion of like Western rock,
I dig it.
psychedelic, and like saz instruments. Oftentimes they're remixed with traditional Turkish songs. There's so much we could have mentioned, like Turkish pop, and there's a lot of Turkish rap and so forth. But if you have something to add,
Interesting. My best friend is half Turkish, half English. He's got a Turkish name, and his Turkish family call him and an English. Oh, okay. He has a Turkish and an English name, and of course the English call him by his English name. That's
please add it
interesting,
in
though.
the comment section down below. I'd love to respond to you guys. Thank you so much to everybody that subscribed to my YouTube
The
channel,
Keith Everett Show.
It's been really great. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Keith.
So, by the way, if you want to
What a
hear
legend.
metalcore
What an
/ emo
absolute
music in
legend.
Turkish language,
Turkish emo metalcore.
yeah, check out my musical project called As My Life Falls Apart. It's on all platforms. You can find the music everywhere.
It actually
Okay, you know what?
kind of good. I'm surprised.
Musical project called As My Life.
I like this guy. He has a Los Pollos Hermanos shirt. This guy likes Breaking Bad. All right, I like him. I respect that. He likes Breaking Bad.
Falls Apart. It's on all platforms. You can find the music
If you haven't,
everywhere.
if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Go watch Breaking Bad.
Actually sounds kind of good. I'm surprised. You do like all the tracks and the layers, and this kid's actually pretty good. Yeah, promotion for you, Ege.
Thank you, man.
You are in this episode, so why not?
Well, with that, there's only one part left to this complicated nation of Turkey. Their diplomacy.
The
Here we
friend
go.
zone. Oh boy.
So as
This
a
could
country at the
be a
crossroads
bit
of three
controversial.
continents, Turkey is in a position where they can't really isolate, even if they tried.
There's geographically too much going on. Let's explain.
For one, Indonesia has always been a close ally dating back centuries when the Ottomans supported the people of Aceh against the Portuguese. Since the Cold War, the USA has always been involved in Turkey's diplomatic affairs, especially in concern to Soviet expansion. They joined NATO in 1952, recognized Israel in 1948. Many Turkish Jews voluntarily moved to Israel as well during Zionist movement times, and Turkey even sent troops to fight alongside the Korean War.
In fact, Turkey has had close ties to South Korea dating over 2,000 years when the Gukturks teamed up and assisted the Korean Goguryeo kingdom against the Tang dynasty Chinese forces in conflict times. Since then, they've maintained a historical alliance based on economic, cultural, and military traits all the way up to the Korean War. Today, about 460 fallen Turkish soldiers are buried in honor at the Hero Cemetery in Busan. Bosniaks from Bosnia and Herzegovina are also huge fans. They are kind of like the descendants of European Muslims that converted during Ottoman times. Many have even moved to Turkey as well and started businesses and have communities. Then we get to their Central Asian cousins. Turks have a platonic love for their Central Asian cousins.
Is there any pre-Columbian names used in Mexico, or is it totally influenced by the Spanish past? No, there are some names, and I'm gonna name a couple of actors. For example, if you've seen like the new movie, the new Marvel movie, Wakanda Forever, the actor is Mexican, and his name is like Tenoch or something like that. He has, that's a pre-Columbian name, that's an indigenous name. Also, if you saw like the Doctor Strange movie, the girl, it's called Xochitl Gomez. Her first name is Xochitl. That's also like an indigenous based name or a pre-Columbian name. So yeah, some people use it, but it's rare. It's like rare. It's like a rare thing, you know.
Like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan, and so on.
Azerbaijan, what about them?
To follow up and chat. Turkmenistan is a little bit of a different story due to their government's isolationist policies, but as people, the Turkmens and Turks are probably the closest in Central Asia because of the Oghuz tribe affiliation. Germany is their largest import and export
and there's
partner,
a lot of Turks in Germany,
Turkish diaspora outside of Turkey, so there has always been a connection between them. Turks tend to have strong opinions about the Turkish diaspora in Germany, but that's a whole other story that we do not want to get into right now. In regards to Cyprus,
what could the Turkish people inside Turkey say about the Turkish diaspora in Germany? Like, what's wrong with it? Not just the Americas. So many Filipinos have Spanish last names. That is also true, my friend.
Obviously, we already explained in the Cyprus episode. The northern Turkish populated part is a self-proclaimed independent nation that only Turkey recognizes, so of course there is a close connection there. Turks tend to call northern Cyprus Yavru Vatan, which means little homeland. But keep in mind,
Yavru
Turks don't actually
Vatan.
really like
Holy
this phrase.
shit.
When it comes to their best friends, however, every Turk I've talked to has said one country, Azerbaijan.
Oh.
They have a phrase, one nation, two states. If the Central Asian...
No, of course it was not Greece, okay? That was a joke. But yeah, Azerbaijan, that's nice. I imagined it. So that's why when he didn't mention it, when he was talking about the Central Asia and the Caucasus, I was like, I don't know. He didn't mention Greece and Armenia, though, so I think that's good. People joke that the Turks in Germany are more proud to be Turkish than the Turks from Turkey. Nice. I get that. That also happens with Mexicans inside Mexico and Mexicans in the United States sometimes.
Turkic nations are cousins, then the Turks and Azerbaijanis are
Yo, bro.
siblings. They have mutually intelligible dialects, they intermarry a lot, each is super welcome in each other's country. Overall, they are one blood, always have been, always will be. All right, and in conclusion, Ege, you are the Turk, you get the honor, speak from the heart. Go!
It's so complicated, it has a history going back millennia. Just like the land, it has blended people from the Aegean, Mediterranean, Mesopotamian, Europe, and Middle East, ancient Turkics. It's secular, but also has a Muslim undertone. The politics are always insane. There's never a quiet moment, and no matter how many crowbars you get in the face from road rage, we always dish it out over a tulip glass of tea.
I think that summarizes it great, Ege. Thank you so much for being in the Turkey episode. And stay tuned, Turkmenistan is coming up next.
And he already did the Turkmenistan episode. Well, that was something I love to learn about Turkey, or Turkey, as I like to call it. Mexican Spanish is heavily influenced by the southern Spanish dialects. That's true, because most of the Spanish who settled in Mexico were from southern Spain. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Most of the Spaniards that came to Mexico came from southern Spain. So the dialect, it's actually kind of similar to the one in Andalusia, which is like the southern state or province of Spain. And a lot of people trace their ancestry back to Andalusia or southern Spain in general. Well, that was fun, guys. I really actually had a lot of fun in this episode. It was pretty interesting. There was no that Harlow guy. There was no like the Hannah girl. So no annoyances, all right? No one was annoying this episode. Even like the guest, I think was pretty chill guy, So hey, I think I enjoyed it, and I think you guys enjoyed it too. We had some good talk. And let's talk about real life lore. Real life lore. And we could pick any of these videos. I was like maybe wanting to watch this, like how the war in Ukraine is destroying Russia, but I don't know, guys. Maybe you guys have an opinion about this. Let me go for the charger of my phone. Give me just a second. It's actually the charger for my computer, but you know, what you gonna do? Can chat now because I'm getting all of the buzz. Damn, bro, you're living a hardcore life. How about his Libya video? Yeah, let's watch the Libya video. And oh boy. Well, I can't charge my computer. So, fuck it. How much battery do I have? 21%. Okay. Well, you know what? Whatever. Let's watch the Libya video.
Libya is a country in North Africa that from...
So, what's the title? How Libya built brand new rivers across the Sahara. All right. I love that, you know. Libya has been a troubled country lately, but it used to be like quite a nice place, like probably the best country to live in Africa, even like surpassing South Africa. And it used to have like a very high GDP per capita. So Libya used to be like a quote unquote good place, but of course, all the stuff that happened with Libya, and now it's just like a mess, a chaos. Let's see how he
Libya is a country in North Africa that for
talks
most of the
about
past
it.
decade has been mired in civil war and violence that has claimed the lives of tens of thousands.
Wow,
Even
yeah.
2 years now after the most recent civil war ended
In
with
the
a ceasefire
70s and
agreement.
80s, Libya was quite a wealthy nation, yeah.
The US, UK, EU, Canadian, and Australian governments all
good old
maintain a
times.
maximum level 4 travel advisory warning, urging against all travel for their citizens to the country due to the ongoing state of violence and danger.
Wow.
But I'm not going to talk about any of that in this video. Instead, I want to show you one of the most incredible things about Libya and how they managed to
built
pull
rivers?
off one of the most impressive macro engineering projects in human history that pretty much nobody in the West has ever.
Is it gonna be a like some sort of project from the Gaddafi days? That's gonna be controversial as fuck. Like, not a lot of people like to talk. Well, actually, yeah, some people like to talk good about Gaddafi, you know, but it's still a controversial topic. Had all the oil money. Yeah, that's true though.
Heard of or cared about. I probably don't need to tell you that Libya is a pretty dry place, but you've really got to understand the sheer dearth of this country's water supply. More than 90% of Libya's territory is a dry and inhospitable desert where there are genuinely locations where it will not rain for decades at a time. At this location next to Egypt, for example, the last time it was ever recorded to have rained was back in 1998, more than 24 years ago.
There we go. That should be better. Sorry about that.
Everywhere beneath this line, it will only rain less than 4 inches per year on average, and even worse, Libya is literally the only country in Africa, and one of the very few in the world, that doesn't have a single natural river of any kind they can access for fresh water. From a water access perspective, these facts make Libya one of the emptiest and driest locations on the planet, and therefore one of the worst imaginable places to run and maintain a civilization in. In terms of renewable water supplies, Libya has even less available water to drink than Cyprus, a dry island in the Mediterranean that is nearly 200 times smaller in size than Libya. This has almost always meant that since time immemorial, the only places in Libya where people could actually build cities and civilization.
Yeah, I mean, Libya is just one of those oddly shaped countries, like Algeria, like maybe even Egypt or Morocco, that it's just a big piece of desert, a big piece of the Saharan desert. I remember someone donated and requested a video, and you said you'll do it next stream. But I don't know what the video was or who it was. Yeah, I don't think the person is right here on the stream. Because I think they would have commented something. Is it just me or our videos, video essay channels are basically becoming one? I always find it slightly cringe how real life lore stretches out each noun in comparison to his earlier videos. Yeah, it's like, this is a humongous country.
Was within the very narrow strip of land above this line, where it actually rains just enough to supply an amount of water. Even a day,
that's where the cities
only
are.
Areas in the country where there's enough water to support agriculture and farming are up in the northwest around the capital and largest city, Tripoli, and in the northeast around the second largest city, Benghazi. Correspondingly, more than 90% of Libya's contemporary population lives within just 10% of Libya's territory north of the line where it rains, and they're almost entirely concentrated within just these 4 largest cities. Most of Libya is simply an uninhabitable wasteland from a civilizational perspective.
It's
and with
just
only these
fucking
limited
desert,
habitable areas up in the north, it's much more helpful to think of Libya's true shape and size as being more like this.
I don't know about the geography, but I don't think just being a fucking piece of desert is good. Like Algeria, for example, it's the biggest country in Africa, and it's just a big piece of desert.
About the same size as Moldova in Europe, and that will make it unsurprising for you to learn that Libya's entire population is only around 7 million people, despite being of a comparable size overall to Mexico. The vast majority of Libya's land is simply worthless for civilization. Or so they thought for a really long time. By the 1950s, Libya only had a tad more than 1 million inhabitants, and was probably not that much more populous than it had been during the Roman era thousands of years beforehand. The country had only just gained independence from Italy and was desperately impoverished, almost completely dependent upon foreign aid and the meager rent that they were receiving from American and British air bases located on their territory. But then in 1956, everything would suddenly change forever with the very first discovery of oil in the country right here. From there, it quickly became apparent that this vast and ancient wasteland that had been disregarded by human civilizations for eons had secretly been hiding something all along of tremendous civilizational value. Some of the largest reserves of oil to be found anywhere on the planet. It turned out that Libya's oil reserves are the largest anywhere.
Yeah, it's sometimes easy to forget that Libya is like a petro state, I don't know, literally an oil country.
The African continent, and the 10th largest of any country in the world, and, to boot, are strategically located near to Europe, one of the world's largest oil consumers.
America.
The ensuing oil boom that followed brought revenues, jobs,
America's
and
like,
wealth
what?
to Libya on a scale
Libya
that had
is
never
a
before been
country. I like that.
seen, and the country's population finally began to skyrocket.
Which is also part of what had happened to Libya, foreign intervention, civil war, dictatorship.
Within 20 years of the first discovery of oil in 1956, Libya's population would roughly double by 1976, and then would more than double again over the next 20 years by 1996. But with this huge and unprecedented surge in opportunity and population, Libya began hitting its ancient problem again.
Water.
There just isn't a lot of water to support a lot of people, even within the small strip of land along the Mediterranean coast where it actually rains. Knowing that they would need to find more water to keep up with the growth in population, the Libyans began almost desperately searching for alternative sources. They mostly came up with 3 different solutions, all of which kind of sucked in pretty different ways. The first, of course, was that since Libya enjoys a long coastline straddling the Mediterranean,
they could,
hypothetically, construct a system of desalination plants that would transform the...
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice solution. It works for certain countries like Israel, for example, but that's not, it doesn't really work for everyone, right? It just doesn't. It's very expensive to build the desalination plants. It's really expensive to build all the infrastructure to take water from the ocean and just bring it to your land. That's very hard, very tough to do. So very few countries could do it. Now, Libya at the time, petro state, and I guess technically still a very large oil producer, but It's just a very, very hard thing to accomplish, you know?
Drinkable salt water of the Mediterranean into usable fresh water. This is a technique that has been used with great success in nearby Israel ever since the 1960s. A country that has faced similar water problems as Libya.
Like small,
The big problem with
wealthy countries,
desalination
that's
is that
it.
it is extremely expensive, and for Libya, a country that by 2010 had an economy that was still more than 3 times smaller than Israel's, that was simply never going to be as good of an option. Libya's second choice involved shipping in fresh water on tankers across the Mediterranean from Europe. And their third choice involved doing the same thing, but with a pipeline. And both of those choices sucked because not only would they still be expensive, but they would also force Libya into being in a situation where they were dependent on Europe for their water supply. Which wasn't exactly an ideal situation for a country that had just emerged as being independent after decades of colonial rule from Europe.
Italy,
Libya's answer and solution to this water problem would ultimately come in just as unexpected and lucky of a fashion as their huge discovery of oil. As the Libyans continued with their hunt for more oil reserves across the desert in the south, they accidentally stumbled into a discovery deep underground that was
water.
perhaps even more valuable to
Than
them
the
than
oil, yeah.
Fresh water, and a lot of it.
A lot.
You see, relatively unknown back then was that across the most recent ice age that lasted between 120,000 years ago and about 11,500 years ago, Northern Africa was a very, very different place, and it had accumulated an insane
Very
amount of
green
water.
or lush.
We now understand that as the Earth slowly changes its orbit around the sun, it causes dramatic changes in the environment in Northern Africa, and as a result, there are cycles of alternating desert and grasslands here that last for thousands of years. And as the last ice age began to end around 12,000 years ago, Northern Africa was right in the midst of the opposite cycle that human civilization has always experienced it as. Rather than the desert we know today, Northern Africa was covered by grass, forests, and lakes, and it rained there a ton. But as the Earth continued to change its orbit, the long cycle of death and rebirth here that has been going on for millions of years continued, and Northern Africa steadily began turning back into the desert around 5,500 years ago, forcing the people there who once knew nothing but abundant water to search for now scarce supplies like rivers
Like the Nile.
which quickly became the genesis point for ancient Egyptian civilization around the same time period.
Yeah, just makes you wonder if there was a civilization in Northern Africa much older than we thought. It's definitely possible, though. I mean, humanity was born in Africa, so it's definitely very possible. And it'd be an interesting thought.
100 years
Food
ago.
for thought,
The
you know?
cycle is, of course, expected to continue and transform the Sahara back into a lush, green grassland with abundant rainfall again around 10,000 years from now into the future. But across those tens of thousands of years of rainfall in Northern Africa before the cycle had ended, the rain collected down into aquifers just beneath the surface. And in the 1950s,
That's how they
these
got
were
their
the
water.
aquifers discovered by the Libyan oil hunters on accident.
Holy shit. That's a ton of water. Look at that, man. I mean, it covers, I never thought I'd say this, but what a valuable piece of land. Not only you have oil, I mean, just imagine being Libya at this point. I don't get why they are poor. They have a ton of water and a ton of oil. It's like the perfect combination. The Gulf states of like Qatar and the UAE must be so envious of Libya. Look at all that water. It looks good. It looks tasty, like
It's
water
currently
should
estimated
taste.
that if you were to add up all of the water in the aquifers beneath just Libya alone, it would add up to around 35,000 cubic kilometers worth, which is a lot. That is more water than exists in all of the North American Great Lakes combined, in
Wow.
addition to Lake Malawi and Lake Victoria in Africa. Africa's second and third
Holy
largest lakes, respectively, by volume.
fuck.
The Libyans had
That's
just
a-
hit the water jackpot almost
shit ton of
immediately
water,
after
yeah.
already hitting the oil jackpot. But there were a couple pretty major problems with this newfound water supply. First, since this supply of water had fallen as rain tens to hundreds of thousands of years ago, back when Northern Africa was more humid and temperate, and now under the current cycle, this region will receive almost zero rainfall for thousands of more years to come.
Oh,
there isn't actually any possible way to replenish
Yeah.
any of the water once it is taken out from the aquifers. And it's therefore not
It's
a
like
renewable
one
source,
time
and it's
only.
more accurately classified as fossil water. The aquifer's water supply, while vast in theory, is also finite and irreplaceable. And when it runs out, the Libyans will just be back in a lot of trouble again. The second problem was that all of these aquifers existed underground across multiple locations, deep in the center and south of the country, hundreds of miles away from any of Libya's actual population centers.
Exactly. Like, look at
Up in the
all
north.
of the cities inside of Libya. They are in the coast, in the Mediterranean coast. There's not a lot of infrastructure in the south, if any. So they have to, I imagine they had to build like a shit ton of canals and highways, right? Railways maybe to get this water and transport it back north or something. I don't know.
Along the coast, with pretty
guess
much
they
zero
built river
infrastructure or
like the
transportation
title says.
options and nothing but empty desert in between them. At first, the Libyans thought they could solve this problem by simply using the water where it already existed, in order to create large-scale agricultural projects in the middle of the desert. But this initial plan would quickly change following a military coup and the rise to power of an ambitious young colonel
Gaddafi,
named Muammar
okay.
Gaddafi in 1969.
Yeah.
Gaddafi was destined to become one of the most eccentric, divisive, and longest-lasting leaders of
And
the 20th
divisive.
century.
Yes,
and under his
sir.
leadership, the Libyans devised an almost crazy-sounding plan to permanently
Why do
alter
they all
one of
have
their
the same
greatest
haircut,
of
though?
geographic handicaps
They
that had
look
nerfed
exactly the
Libyan
same.
civilization for eons: their complete lack of any rivers. The plan was to simply overcome nature and geography by building their own man-made rivers through pipelines
Okay.
across the barren Sahara between the vast and newly discovered aquifers in the south and the rapidly growing cities in the north along the Mediterranean. The plan would take decades under Gaddafi's leadership to build, and it would ultimately become the largest and the most ambitious irrigation project ever
the
carried
world?
out in human
In
history.
human
And it would
history.
change the destiny of Libya as a
I
nation.
mean, is it just me or like real life lore is kind of hyperbolic? You know, he's always like, this was the biggest thing in history, right? Like, come on, bro, chill. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean,
Forever.
it's a
The Libyans
big
ended up
deal,
calling this
but
plan the Great Man-Made River Project.
you know what I mean.
A vast system of pipelines buried underground to avoid evaporation, and pumps that would be constructed beneath the sands of the desert that would bring the water up to Libya's growing and thirsty cities in the north. More than 4,000
Yeah, it'd be like
kilometers
that,
worth
yeah.
of pipes were planned to be constructed for this purpose, which if laid end to end would nearly cover the entire distance between Los Angeles and New York City. In addition to this
Whoa.
absurd length of pipe, the system
is
would
an
eventually
absurd
grow to
length.
contain more than 1,300 different water wells, most of which are more than half a kilometer deep into the ground, penetrating the desert landscape and sucking up the water from the depths below. On a yearly basis, this system now provides around 2.4 cubic kilometers worth of fresh water up to the now
Jesus.
more than 7 million and growing citizens of Libya and the cities of the north. Which isn't really a huge amount of water, but it's enough to grant Libya an equivalent amount of usable water now as Luxembourg has in Europe. And it's more water than Saudi Arabia's got, despite the Saudis having 5 times Libya's population.
Yeah.
Today, the Great Man-Made River provides 70%.
I mean, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I mean, having the same water as Luxembourg, I don't know if that's like really good or really bad.
Of all the fresh water
Because
used by
it's
the
such
Libyan
small
people,
country.
and without it, the Libyans would have been forced into becoming more reliant on importing water somewhere from abroad. But building out this whole system of underground water pipelines has taken the Libyans decades to accomplish,
Yeah,
and it
I imagine
still isn't
that.
even finished either. Construction on the system only first began back in 1984 on Phase 1, and to date, the Libyans have spent approximately $25 billion building out what they have.
Oh, wow.
The original plan back then was, and technically
It's a
still
lot
is
of
today,
coin.
to construct the Great Man-Made River in 5 distinct phases, each of them planned for by the Great Man-Made River Authority, set up to meet specific water volume requirements within certain
And
geographic
let me have a small guess. When Gaddafi left or was ousted, whatever, they stopped with the project, right? Is that correct? Is that gonna be the case? The Saudis have it rough, yeah. Again, giving a shout out to Crowd, but his video on why Saudi Arabia is doomed is pretty interesting. And yeah, the Saudis do have it
You see,
really
within southern
rough.
Libya, there's 5 discovered major underground water basins. Beginning with the first 3, the Hamada, Sirte, and Kufra basins.
Wow,
They're all
look at
located in
that.
the southeast of the country and are connected to the greater Nubian sandstone aquifer that also extends across Egypt, Chad, and Sudan. This
Holy
is the
shit.
largest known fossil water aquifer system ever discovered in the world, containing what
True
could
that.
possibly be around 150,000 cubic kilometers worth of irreplaceable water across all 4 of these nations, which would
That's
be equivalent to
insane.
around 5% of all the fresh water locked away up in the glaciers of Greenland. Other than their share of this
Not bad.
huge aquifer, the
Not
Libyans
bad.
also controlled the New Sahara Basin in the northwest and the Merzak Basin in the southwest. Phase 1 of the project was focused on constructing the water pipeline from As Safir and Tizirbo in the south up to the large cities of Benghazi and Sirtia in the north, tapping into the enormous Nubian sandstone aquifer and bringing the system online. This was the largest phase of the project, and it alone used up an insane amount of material. 2.5 million tons of cement, 13 million tons of...
Egypt's going to need that aquifer when the Nile gets dammed by Ethiopia. Yeah, absolutely true. Plus, Egypt has like, what, 100 million people? I mean, they truly are going to need that aquifer. They already need it, all right? Let's just say it like
2
that.
million kilometers worth of wire and over 250,000 sections of concrete pipe for the water to pass through that would be buried underground.
That's a
Each
lot
of
of
them
pipe.
measuring a staggering 8 meters in diameter. It took the Libyans
Wow.
12 years to finish constructing Phase 1 by 1996, and it ended up providing 2 million cubic meters worth of water a day to these thirsty cities up in the north.
Yeah,
Phase 2
amen.
then began shortly afterwards further over to the west. Pipelines were built beginning in the Merzak Basin.
Look at
and
this
they now deliver
hieroglyph.
more than 1 million cubic meters of water
Yeah,
a
Egypt's
day
population
up to
is
Libya's
insanely
largest city
big,
and
yeah.
capital, Tripoli, and the surrounding area. It took them 4 years to finish up this phase by 2000, and then came the final phase to actually be...
Especially since Egypt's population is going to be 224 million, more than double. Insane.
So far.
Insane.
Phase 3, which was mostly focused on adding another pipeline from the Nubian sandstone aquifer into the existing Phase 1 network, providing more water to Benghazi and Sirte in the process.
Yeah.
This phase was only completed in 2009, and by that point, there were still gaps in the system that hadn't been constructed yet. Phase 4 planned for new lines to be constructed from these aquifers to the
From
north and finally
Tobruk.
connecting the city of Tobruk to an aquifer. While Phase 5 would finally construct a line up here in the north that would
USA trade proposal. I get access to the canal. You get your damn besting missiles for no particular reason.
finally connect the western
You
and
know,
eastern systems
America.
together and largely
America.
unify the great man-made river into a single finished system across the country, where all the major cities in the north could access water from anywhere else in the system. But these final phases were doomed to never be completed because just 2 years after the completion of Phase 3 in
Oh,
2011
Gaddafi? Yeah.
came the political tumult of the Arab Spring, leading to a revolution within Libya against Gaddafi's now 42-year-long regime.
Wow.
With Gaddafi being long considered an enemy of the West for a very long list of reasons, NATO decided to intervene against his forces with a no-fly zone and a methodical bombing campaign in support of the rebels that quickly turned the tide of the revolution in the country against him, eventually culminating with his violent overthrow and death. The power vacuum left within the country after the end of his more than 4 decades of rule threw Libya into civil war and chaos that has lasted for much of the decade plus of history ever since. And, in a sense, the great man-made river project kind of died alongside Gaddafi in the chaos that has reigned ever since.
I mean, well, first of all, who is nowadays governing Libya? Does Libya have like a president, a prime minister? Like, that's actually, I think, an interesting question. Honestly, I'm not informed about the current situation that Libya is facing. But if I'm guessing correctly, there's probably not a lot of government in Libya right now. Or maybe there is some sort of limited government. Maybe the civil war is over, but who is running Libya and why aren't taking advantage of like this gift?
Death,
Massive
nobody has
gift.
so far managed to put together the resources or
There's like 3 different governments fighting each other. Okay.
the will to finish
Yeah.
what he started and construct Phase 4 or Phase 5. And the great man-made river, what Gaddafi called the 8th wonder of the world, remains incomplete. And only time will tell if that'll remain the case forever. As the revolution in Libya raged against Gaddafi's regime more than a decade ago, it begged several fundamental questions about 21st century society. It was obvious that the root cause for the unrest across the Arab world at that time was mostly due to the region's poverty. Despite all of their oil wealth, the average
Yeah.
Libyan earns only 14% of the same income as the average
Look at
American,
you.
and can expect to live for 6 years less. And a third of the Libyan population lives in dire poverty. And while these
Wow.
differences are obviously significant,
Crazy.
they're actually pretty small.
Crazy to think that this was one of the wealthiest cities in the world, or one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
Compared with the differences between the United States and the world's poorest countries, like Zimbabwe, Afghanistan, North Korea, or Sierra Leone, where more than half of the population lives in poverty.
Perdón, Jorge, llegué
Why
tarde
is
otra
Libya
vez.
poorer
Don't
than the
worry, my
United
man, no te
States? What
preocupes.
constraints exist within Libya that prevent them from becoming more prosperous? Is the poverty of Libya guaranteed reality forever, or can it be eliminated? These are just some of the big and important questions that are brilliantly and expertly answered in Why Nations Fail: The Origins of Power, Prosperity, and Poverty, that was published back in 2013 during the midst of the Arab Spring revolutions. I just got done listening to this whole story on Audible, and I found it to be incredibly captivating and engaging. Since you just finished watching my whole video about Libya and their struggles, I'd highly
Okay,
encourage
this
you
is
to
like sponsor time. I think it's a sponsor time. Yeah, it's probably sponsor time. Have you guys seen real life lore in person? I saw his video on Nebula, and I think, yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy. There we go. Look at him. Look at this beautiful man. This is the man that's giving us real life lore. God save you, my friend. What a legend. This video was sponsored by Raid the Shadow Legends. Yep. Did you guys imagine he looked like that? I was a little shocked. I don't know. But yeah, this is the man. The man himself. What a giga chat, you know? He's beautiful looking. Oh, man. Well, that was a really good video. It's too bad what happened in Libya, and it's really sad. It almost reminds me a little bit to Venezuela, in which it was one of the wealthiest countries in the world until, dictatorship happened, revolution, yada, yada, yada, right? And now with Venezuela, it's a little bit different. There hasn't been a revolution yet. But even if there was a revolution, like, do you think that's going to make Venezuela better? Probably not. I mean, look at Libya. I'm not saying that Gaddafi was a good guy or anything. He looks like my uncle. Well, your uncle is a very good-looking man. Anyway, just very, very sad, honestly. What has been happening with Libya. When large amounts of wealth can be made without a large educated workforce, trouble is abound. Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. Should have maybe invested in other things like educating your population. But I guess that water project was really important for them. If you don't have water, you don't have civilization. So I guess it was important for them to invest in that. But I don't know, all that oil money, you couldn't get like your education system right. The United Arab Emirates has like good education systems, at least for their citizens, not to go the Norway route. Yeah, just have like this big investment fund that leaves you like dividends. That's nice. I like that route, that just invest in everything and everyone and be rich. I think Qatar also has like a huge investment firm, but I don't know if it's like public, like the one in Norway. All right, guys. So I am a little sad to see that we are a lot of people over 8, between 6 and 8. I don't know. YouTube's giving me 2 numbers, but I think I'm gonna end the stream right now because this was more of a test when it comes to streaming. Because I have a new computer, a new setup, and I wanted to test it. And I wanted to react to like 3 videos, the ones that you see in the thumbnail. So yeah, I think this stream is gonna cut short. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but we're gonna have one Friday. Let's do one this Friday. No, I don't know. No, Friday is tomorrow. Next Wednesday, we're gonna have a stream, all right? What do you guys think? But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next stream, Wednesday.